RSL. And what a day we have for you today. I'm Tasteless, and joined with me is State. How you doing, buddy?
Oh, I'm feeling really good, Tasteless. Yesterday was an exciting day here in the RSL Season 6 playoffs, but I think today is going to be even better. We have an all-star lineup for the upper bracket as we get ready to decide who the finalists are going to be. Upper bracket finalists, I should say.
Yeah.
And it's a sick lineup. Clem versus Serral, herO versus Rogue, best Terran player in the world, some of the best Zerg players in the world, best Protoss player in the world. It's going to be incredible. I cannot wait.
This is probably going to be our best day yet. I'm super excited for both of these matches. And of course, guys, the grand finals of Season 6 is going to be at BlizzCon. So we have these players duking it out. Two of them will be going to LA at Anaheim to compete on the big stage. If you're joining us, we are close to the end here. Just today and then 2 more days left. But we are on the weekends, starting at 6 p.m. And so, I don't know, it's been great being back here at RSL. I feel like we've really kind of found our rhythm, found our groove, by the way. And so, thank you for joining us here today, and we are looking forward to being with you guys here next weekend as well.
Yeah, and if you're watching live, these are the time zones around the world, whether you're in Beijing, London, or on the ISS. I wonder if they actually have the bandwidth to watch the RSL. I would hope they do.
Well, they can't be laddering all the way over there. The
ping can you imagine?
Terrible. You thought Australia had bad ping. Try being on the International Space Station. But yeah, be sure to join us wherever you are, whether it is live or you're going to be with us on YouTube. Shout-outs to Archon Studio, the makers of the StarCraft Tabletop Miniatures game. They've been supporting us the entire time. You got to check out their stuff. They're dropping more and more items in their lineups, and they've been incredible. We love Archon Studio.
And honestly, a big thank you from us to our Patreon supporters. This tournament would not be possible without your support. And your support continually makes it better, not just through your contributions making this thing possible, but voting on the maps, voting on the players. The way that you have been interacting with this tournament is excellent. And if you're not yet a supporter on Patreon, we invite you to go there and join our community.
Yeah, here is our map pool. Excuse me. Here's our map pool lineup here. These were voted in by our community. And, I think we've got some fantastic maps here for, Season 6 here of the RSL. We wanted to have maps that were, competitive and playable, but also brought some new ideas. I think especially in the years past, we've had some maps that have maybe a little bit too many formulaic maps.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think there's a very nice mix in the RSL, and there has been basically since Season 1, where you have like the pool of the standard maps that everybody knows, but there's a couple wild cards in every best of 5 and best of 7. It makes things very entertaining.
You can check out our merch at tastelessreds.com, and if you're on YouTube, leave a comment, subscribe, like the video. That really does help us get into the algorithm and help spread the RSL out there. It is... let's just say it's not the most convenient time to start a YouTube channel for a game that is 18 years old.
Yeah, we waited 16, 17 years before we actually did this thing.
We waited until StarCraft 2 was ready to go to college or have a year abroad to start this thing. So, yeah, we're trying to get that. I know, this is... YouTube channels are funny. It's like you just got to kind of hack away at it, sometimes for years and years, but eventually you get there.
Yeah, they slowly build up. So if you're watching live, if you can drop by our YouTube, drop a description, a like, leave a comment. It does help us out a lot. And already, Tasteless, Serral versus Clem, the first best of 5 we're going to play today in the upper bracket semifinals, is getting ready to go. Set number 1 can be played on Fear and Faith, the best Zerg player of all time, versus arguably the best Terran player in the world right now, getting ready to duke it out. Let's get started.
I'm so excited for this match. I think Serral's slightly favored here, but man, Clem is so good, so strong. So yeah, let's get into it. We have Clem down here in the bottom right, Serral in the top left.
Yeah, Clem spawning down there in the bottom right, Fear and Faith, and this is a 4-player map, so Clem, I wonder whether he's going to go for an early scout and try and find out where Serral's going for. CC first is a very popular opening here on this map, but it comes with some risks, as we saw yesterday with Byun versus Shin. If you play a little bit too greedy here on Fear and Faith, things can be quite dangerous.
Yeah, I can't say I blame Terrans for being interested in CC first here, with the command center being so much cheaper. It starts on time, earlier. It finishes, therefore earlier. You get to kind of get that whole momentum going of cranking out workers faster and faster, dropping mules earlier. You know, we were talking a lot about the worker count change and how that'll impact builds, but of course having a starting structure and its build time change is also massive.
It's still crazy to me when you see the command center drop at the same time or faster than a hatchery in TVZ now. As we see Clem going for that CC first, 110. The command center throws down as Mapu just showing. They're basically perfectly timed in sync with each other. So Barrick's going to drop down here for Clem. Serral continuing to build up back at home. And we'll see where Clem is going to go from this. Byun versus Shin earlier on in the RSL playoffs. Yesterday, he went for a 3 racks follow-up to the CC first play. And I think it was like 22 or 23 drones that Shin went for with the Baneling bust. And it just absolutely clobbered Byun. So Clem, if you watch those games, even though he's going up against Serral, a much more typically macro-oriented Zerg, probably has something like this in the back of his mind.
Yeah, there's the third CC. Obviously, 3CC is, you know, this is one of the most common builds, but it's going to be interesting to see how much this picks up with pushes and everything, you know, overall here. We know that 3CC leads into 8 racks pushes, unless we have some crazy curveball, like he goes 3CC into Mac or something, which I think we've cast like once or twice. But yeah, I mean, if I would imagine, besides maybe Morrow, Clem is going to be the best at this in the whole world. So this is going to be interesting to see how exactly Serral's going to grapple with it.
Yeah, this is about as greedy as it gets. I think it was like 205, 206 when the third command center was thrown down there for Clem, and only just now taking the first Vespene Geysers here in the main base. So Clem's economy, it's going to come online very quickly. Serral, for his part, he's playing a very safe opening. He's going into Zergling's speed, not minding any more gas than that. He's going for a third hatchery, but he's respecting the possibility of something like Reapers. So he's hiding that drone. He's delaying the third hatch a little bit. And Clem's third command center is going to be done before that hatchery even starts, Tasteless.
Yeah. So there was no threat here for the drone, but you know he wanted to play it safe and make sure it doesn't get cut off by like a Reaper or something. So he's going to have that third hatchery starting. And you know, let's see how well Zerg can grow. This is a map where you have a pretty long travel distance to get to where the other, the other side of the map is. So pushing's not going to be that easy. You know, the easiest way to look at a map TVZ a lot of times and see, you know, which one it favors is, you know, how pushable and how quickly can it be done as Terran. The further apart you are, the harder it is to get to the Zerg, the better it is for the Zerg.
Double factory gets thrown down here by Clem.
Okay.
We were talking about how unlikely it will be that Clem goes for something like this, but it looks like Clem is going to be opting to go for 3CC into mech.
Wow, okay. I'm not going to lie.
Oh, that's factory number 3. 2 and 3 in production.
I was so confident this was not going to be mech.
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, I was wondering what the game plan would be with how fast the third Vespene Geyser came in there, the natural expansion, but I kind of just attributed it to me, you know, not really knowing the way TVZ players develop with these like super fast third CCs on 300 minerals where you delay the gas until later on. I thought maybe he's going to use that gas, get faster medevacs out, try and get really fast double upgrades or something going, but no, it's going to be factories number 2 and 3 already coming online here for Clem. And Serral's going to spot both gases. You can see there on the minimap, he knows that Clem is taking both gases, the natural expansion, and Clem likely took those after he took the gases in the main base. So Serral's going to know that this is going to be a very gas-based build, so this Overlord Scout is crucial. Serral wants to see what's going on. He sees the second factory, and now he knows this is going to be something like Battle Mech.
Yeah. I don't know how much of mech working is hinged on them being surprised by it or not. You know what I mean? Obviously, seeing it is massive because you realize the game is in a completely different trajectory than what we would consider like a normal TVZ to be. But yeah, he sees it. And so this is going to be a lot of Cyclones coming out here. This is a super mobile way to play. And it's going to be putting a little bit of pressure on Zerg here. We'll see how much damage it can actually get off, though.
Yeah, I wonder how much damage Clem actually needs to connect with here versus Serral, because keep in mind, the opening from Clem, it was so greedy. Only just now is Serral at some moments getting an income advantage over Terran. And so for Clem, I think with this battle mech, like maybe you want to trade out the Hellions because they're cheap, they're mineral-only units. But as long as you're continuing to build up, in particular the Cyclone numbers here is Clem, I think you're pretty much happy with any trade.
Yeah, he's just going to start by picking off a couple of these creep tumors. Serral does have some lings over here to, I think, basically intercept these reinforcements. And look at that. Clem sets up perfectly to basically surround those lings. merge up, and then continue on with his pressuring.
I mean, it almost feels like more Hellions than Lings there for a moment as Clem just continuing to power up. That's what, 2 or 3 more factories in production? I mean, Battle Mech, it's not a very expensive composition with the Cyclones and the Hellions, so typically you are going to mass those numbers out very quickly, but the rate at which this is coming online here for Clem is ludicrous. I mean, the supplies are still even between Serral and Clem, and Serral's going into roaches.
Yeah, a lot more roaches are going to be coming out here. So the Battle Mech's style is, he's going to be able to put some pressure in here. I don't think he's going to be able to deny the 4th base. But I think getting a 5th base is basically going to be impossible for now for Serral. If you look at the position on the map, the 5th base, whichever side of the map he takes it on, is really far away. And this is one of those maps. Oh my god, we already got a couple more drones getting killed here. Hold on. Is he going to get another shot off? Okay, he actually might be able to poke out this 4th. I stand corrected.
Yeah, with no roach speed yet, still 10 seconds away, it's very hard for Serral to actually connect onto the Cyclones and the Hellions with these roaches, even though it's on creep. And so Clem getting a lot of chip damage in there versus Serral. And Serral's sitting on just 3 base saturation, 67 drones. He's going to be pumping the gas right now in terms of roaches. He's going into tunneling claws. He knows he needs some kind of tricky plays to try and get the momentum back on his side. But Clem just continuing to push in, continuing to kite, scanning, keeping the vision even on something like Overlords. Anything you can do to just win this war of attrition is huge for Clem, and I love this play that Serral's setting up for. It's not a bailing landmine, it is a ton of roaches burrowed over here on the left side. If he pops these on the Cyclones, it could be huge. Oh! But there's a Raven!
That was crazy. Yeah, there's a Raven right there. He was, for a second, looks like he wanted to chuck the auto turret down to maybe even body block it. Crazy. So he's going to continue to put pressure onto this 4th base, and looks like that was just cleaned up. A small Ling counterattack there. Serral's going to try to run around here, maybe intercept reinforcements again.
Yeah, Serral needs to do something to try and slow the roll here of Clem, and he's going to be going for a surround right now, but the Cyclones and the Hellions, they are so fast. This roach flank coming in from Serral, only actually able to pick off one of those Cyclones. Now they are getting on top of the Hellions, but the Cyclones dishing out so much damage, plus the addition of Banshees. It's air-to-ground attacks that cannot be contested by Serral's army. He's just putting an additional timer on this composition by Serral, and Serral is doing a very good job of connecting with the roaches on Cyclones, on Hellions. He was able to whittle down this Battle Mech composition quite a bit, but he still doesn't have an answer to the overall comp of Clem.
Yeah, it's rough. I mean, you could just see the Cyclones are they're better units than the roaches, right? I mean, they can chase, they can run away and kite. But you're going to have this kind of overwhelming amount where you can basically chase down the mech units and corner them and clobber them. And I don't know that Serral's quite there yet. Now, the 4th base is not gone, but it has not really had drones mining at it. It's almost like a placeholder.
Yeah, Serral's still sitting on basically 3 base saturation. And by the way, Clem is going for what is, in my opinion, just a brilliant tech switch right now. It's not even really a tech switch, he's just adding it to the composition of the Battle Mech. He's going into Hyperflight Rotor Banshees.
Yeah.
These speed Banshees are going to pair so well with the Cyclones and the Hellions. Banshees, once they have that speed, they're like as fast as a Mutalisk, man. They will be able to chase down these roaches, and there is still no meaningful anti-air here for Serral. I'm not sure what he's going to go into to try and deal with these Banshees, because once the Banshee number gets up to like 7 or 8, the damage output is going to be crazy.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty insane. You can see the Roach is not quite able to reach their targets. Clem having to micro, all these different places at once. But, the Roaches are going to start to come down here and hit both of these bases. This actually could be a position where I don't know if Clem's going to be able to stabilize on his 4 bases. He's going to end up possibly losing a lot of workers.
Yeah, Clem is able to hold by the Planetary Fortress there on the top right side, and that's going to allow him to finally have an anchor for that position and be able to pivot some of his Cyclones into the center, all the way down here on the south, and clean up the rest of those roaches. And for what it's worth, Serral getting a lot of damage done with those roaches. It's more than you would expect given the compositions, but you can see it came at a cost. 3,000 more resources lost here for Serral. Worker count still even, base is still even. And even though on paper, economically, it is a deadlock. It is 80 drones to 82 SCVs. That almost always favors the Terran. Zerg wants to be ahead on bases because the cost efficiency for a Terran complex is just through the roof. So Clem takes game number 1 with a super greedy 3cc opening into Battle Mech, and that just looked nasty.
That was crazy. That was not, man, when that second and third factory got thrown down, after 3 command centers. I just was not expecting a game like that. That was very impressive.
I honestly think that if it wasn't for the Banshee addition to the Battlement composition, Serral would have gotten a lot more done because he was starting to gain some ground, at least there on the bottom left side, where he was able to push the Cyclones, the Hellions into a corner, get on top of some of the SCVs. But just having like, what was it, 5 or 6 Banshees at that point in the game, just constantly shelling your roaches, it's a war of attrition that Zerg is never going to win.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's hard when you have roaches versus Cyclones like that to really ever trade favorably. It seems like a lot of times that kind of whittles Zerg down over time. But yeah, the tech switch at the end there, I think, was really what did it.
Yeah, honestly, though, Fear and Faith probably going to be the hardest map for Serral. I think this entire best of 5. I was a little bit surprised this one came out here in game number 1, but it should get a little bit easier here for Serral moving forward. At least I would hope so, because, again, we've seen it in ZVP, we've seen it in ZVT. Trying to take a 5th base on that map is a nightmare for Zerg. It's why Zergs usually go for all-ins or some kind of very aggressive play. And, Clem, he kind of played into that perfectly. He's like, oh, well, Serral, he's going to be able to 4-base, he won't be able to do much more than that. Let's just fight him with Battle Mech, and that was a clean game 1 win.
Nicely done. This is a best of 5, so we've got plenty more games ahead here. But right now, Serral, who I think most would agree is the strongest player in this tournament, is down 1 game here to Clem.
Yeah, Clem with a really cool opening there in game number 1. And I'm just wondering what he's going to go to here in game number 2 and game number 3, because I imagine we're going to have kind of like a 50-50 split between going for these CC first openings and going for some kind of barracks opening, because you don't want to risk things too much, just constantly going for the CC first. We have seen players like Shin, like Solar, who aren't afraid of going for these early pushes. And I know Serral's not afraid of it either. So Clem here in game number 2, going to be going for that mix-up, playing a little bit more safe. It's a Rax first opening.
Yeah, so a very different flavor game coming from Clem here. We don't really know what Serral's going to be doing yet. We're going to need a little bit more time for the game to develop to see what he's got in store for us. But, yeah, interesting. Again, with the Command Center cost change, it's so massively impactful. Pretty cool to see that 3CC into mech game for that. I'm curious. With one thing about Terran versus Zerg is that mech's always there, but the question is, like, how often is it actually the go-to? Right? Like, I feel like there's been periods where we're even in tournaments where it's like more than 50%. In the history of StarCraft 2, there's been iterations of the game where it's like, this is more common. And then there's periods where it's super rare.
Yeah, and I think Fear and Faith is just kind of the perfect map for it. It makes sense to go into that composition there on that map because, there's all these different paths that Serral also needs to spread his creep down. Yeah. It's like 3 or 4 different avenues, and that takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of queen energy. Plus, again, it's hard to take that 5th base. So, as Terran, you just want to keep fighting. You want to keep in their base. You want to keep map control, and Battle Mech is one of those compositions that is just really good at constantly trading, even with something like Roachling or Burrowed Roaches we saw there from Serral. But I don't think we're going to see another Battle Mech game from Clem here, at least not on Voidstorm. I think it's much more likely to be, your typical standard macro TVZ play with a bio composition. But I am curious how much more we're going to see Battle Mech, or Mech in general, from Clem. I mean, we even had a game where Bjorn went Mech yesterday, which is kind of unheard of.
Yeah, that was kind of crazy. Yeah, I guess we're going to see, what is the go-to. He did get a drone kill there, right?
Yeah, that was perfect.
So used to nothing happening when the Reaper comes out. That was kind of crazy. So Serral down 1 drone here. Yeah, look at that.
Even with a slightly slower Reaper build time, Clem's still able to make that magic happen. Gets an early drone.
Yeah, just going to try to take out that creep tumor. Doesn't quite damage it down enough. And, yeah, I mean, this is going to be basically like a 1-1-1 tech with an expand behind it.
Yeah, taking all the way up into the starport already. No 3rd command center here for Clem just yet. Serral finally drops that 3rd hatchery and was able to get that drone over there without the Reaper actually spotting it. And now setting up, a nice little block there.
Oh, what are you crazy, Clem? Clem,
what are you doing?
Clem, you're mad. What is happening?
Oh, it can't jump back down. Clem was shaking his head. It could not jump back down, I think.
Yeah, no, Clem looked super irritated by that. So the Reaper got vertigo?
It's got a fear of heist, man. It can go up, it can't come back down. Is that a quirk here on Voidstorm that you can get into the main base, but you can't get back down? I actually haven't seen it. I mean, Clem
At first, I thought he was like trying to style on him.
Yeah.
But no, 100% he couldn't get it down. I wonder what that is.
Well, I noticed earlier when he killed the drone, it looked like he was pathing the Reaper to try and get out of main base on that side, but it juked back into the Lings and almost fell because of it. And now Clem, again, at the same spot, was trying to get the Reaper out. I think it literally just could not path down that ledge. Huh.
Okay, so, from here, it's going to be the Banshee tech here for Terran. So it's going to be Bio into Banshee. We'll see if the Banshees can get much damage done.
Hellions exerting a little bit of map control right now, trying to keep the creep spread as contained as possible. The Serral gets in with one Ling and sees basically everything. And I think the barracks timing here on the front, Serral's a very smart player. He should be able to see this and know that it's not a 3cc opening, and that means that Clem likely wants to get a lot of damage done with this. The third command center, it's cheaper than it used to be, so the fact that you're foregoing that for these faster barracks on the back of a 1-1-1, it signals that it's going to be a much more aggressive game, and against that kind of aggressive playstyle, counterattacks like this can be excellent here for Serral. You can see Clem just spam right-clicking onto the mineral pad to try and stack all those SCVs up to get more damage, but these Lings get a lot of SCVs, and now they got this surround here on the Hellions. The Hellions are cornered. I think the Hellions will get cleaned up at the cost of basically all of the Lings, but some pretty effective trades here for Serral.
Yeah, I mean, this is going pretty well for Serral, even interrupting a little bit of mining time there. Definitely worth it. Too bad he wasn't able to keep the Hellions maybe in a position where he could have wrapped around the mineral patches. Hellions, I mean, once they get surrounded, their value drops off pretty fast in a fight.
It's not really able to stack up the splash damage in a situation like that one. And so Serral, again, with that first Ling scout, he knows that it's not a 3cc opening, and then with the follow-up aggression with the Lings, he's able to get the Hellion number under control. Usually the Hellions, they work in tandem with the Banshees to try and get damage done. Queens kind of need to respond to both of those units, so the threat of Hellions running into the third base or running into the natural expansion, and the threat of Banshees going into any mineral line, they pair very well together, and it can be so taxing for a Zerg player to try and deal with it. So the fact that Serral was able to clean up the Hellions, it simplifies the defense so much now.
Okay, the Banshees now, we need to see what targets they can actually get. Like, are there any, whether it's creep tumors or drones or something. The Spores are already preemptively set up to kind of deny this. But it's pretty hard for the Zerg to not lose any drones. I mean, it's hard to cover that whole area, and obviously 2 Banshees, 1 shot a drone.
Yeah, it's kind of like an Oracle opening in PvZ. You're expecting it to get 2 or 3 drones. It's kind of just the damage that's going to be inevitable if you're going to be trading hit points on the unit for a couple of shots there on the worker line. But I think Serral will be happy with only losing 3 drones, especially considering he's all the way up to 71 now to the 48 SCVs of Clem, whose third command center is just about to finish. But this is not, again, the same greedy play that we saw from Clem there in game number 1. I feel like he kind of needs to get damage done with his first move out.
Yeah, he's moving out now, and he's going to be going for this 4th base that's close to the lower center of the map. There is a base being taken in the upper right. I don't think Clem has vision of that yet, although that's not too important for now. First, we need to see what... Yeah, he doesn't see it. So we need to see, can he actually get in here and make this work? And he's going to have... Wait, what is going... Oh, there's a tank in there. Okay. I thought he was going to do a tank drop in the main. I was like, what? Okay, so he's going to hit the hatchery. I don't know if Clem can, or Serral can save this in time.
Yeah, and Serral's not even going to try. It allows the hatch to fall, and I think it's a pretty wise decision here for Serral. He's got the full 3-base saturation. He's actually getting a pretty good counterattack over here at the 3rd base. Unfortunately, with the medevac, that means those Lings will never be able to confirm the kills onto the Marines.
Dude,
so
Clem is so good right now.
Yeah.
This is actually crazy that he just did that versus Serral. He pushed out, hit the hatchery so fast that Serral didn't even have time to react, and I think Serral had the right move by just ditching it. I think a weaker player would have tried to fight anyways, and ended up losing the fight, possibly the whole game, but Serral is up against the ropes.
Yeah, Clem needed to get damage done, and he did with the denial there of the 4th expansion, but Serral does have that hatchery finishing up on the top right side of the map, so that's going to be the next focal point. Can Clem actually push into this position? Oh, the fungal comes in here from the top rope with 3 infestors. Siege Tank's trying to focus them down. We'll be able to get 2 of the infestors, and with the Ling numbers dissipating, it looks like Clem has a lot more firepower left to push into this base.
Oh my god, I think this game could be close to over. I mean, we're in the course of 2 minutes, we've had 2 expansions go down. And, Clem hasn't really taken that much damage. The counterattack, I think this is a great idea. We'll see how much it can actually get done. he's going to keep some of those lings around so they could probably go back in again. But right now, it's 3-base to 3-base. Serral is just trying to remake his 4th and recover. And Clem is going to cut through and try to clean up this creep, making another inevitable push probably that much stronger.
Yeah, and this isn't the kind of game that Serral wanted to play. He went into Hive Tech very quickly, and I kind of feel like the game plan was likely to go into Ultras fast, but Clem has just given him no breathing room. And Serral is trying to make the defense work with just upgraded Lings. Adrenal's about halfway done, plus 3 Carapace is coming in, plus 2 melee attack just started as well. I'll hold that thought, actually. Infestors come in once more. Oh, the Siege Tank focus fire. They're able to get most of those Infestors. Only one Fungal going to pop, and it's a fantastic Fungal, but there's nothing to add on the damage. And again, this goes back to the 4th base going down here in the bottom left, and the extra expansion in the top right also getting taken out. There simply isn't enough larva for Serral to really produce a lot of these units. With some injects popping, 36 more Lings are in production, but the momentum is fully behind Clem.
Yeah, I don't know, man. This is going to be really tough to hold. This is not a comfortable angle for Zerg to try to lash out at and take this push out. You know, the hatchery's at about half health. I like the surround. He comes in here from behind. He does not end up targeting the tank, so the tank's going to get a couple more shelling shots off.
Marine's going to lift back up into these Medivacs. Their numbers did dissipate quite a bit. Serral did a very good job getting on top of them with this Ling count.
I don't know, man. Serral is in a bad spot. He is going to try to intercept this, or he was. I saw some units moving up above this, but he doesn't end up going for it. He treats it as a counterattack. So the reinforcements we're seeing come on screen right now, those were not stopped. We have a counterattack. That's what I thought was going to be intercepting that coming down here. Now the counterattack, you know, sometimes there are games where you see people counterattack too much, and they're never able to actually deal with a push, and this could be one of those games.
Was a very good fungal there by Serral, though. I mean, the bio is getting cleaned up here on the front line. There isn't yet an answer for these Liberators in the air. The Queens just simply cannot connect with them. But Serral's doing a very good job of starting to stabilize, and I think these counterattacks, they're finally starting to pay off a little bit. Up until this point, Serral really hasn't been able to find the damage, but now that he has this large, massive Lings, especially with the green adrenal glands done, getting in between the Liberators here on the front line and the reinforcements and the 3rd base from Clem, I think Serral's been able to finesse his way into buying a little bit of breathing room.
Okay, the Liberators are going to come up now, and they're going to start to hit these drones over here. So Clem can't push anymore, but he's still going to use what he has remaining to try to get a little bit more damage. Really goes to show you how hard it is for this base specifically over here to be held for Zerg. I mean, it's so close to Terran. It's closer to the Terran than it is to Serral's starting location.
And the lack of anti-air is such a problem right now for Serral. He's going for the Spire right now, I think, just to get enough Corruptors to clean up the low HP Medivacs, to clean up the Liberators, because they have been a thorn in his side. It's really just the mobility of the Medivacs that is allowing Clem to kind of run circles around these expansions here for Serral. And Serral is mining from that base that you have right here. 8 drones are mining, but he's not mining from the base in the top right. There simply is too much pressure. Serral once more pushes forward with the Queens, just trying to pick off these low HP Medivacs. I mean, there might be 20 HP between all 3 of these Medivacs. But Serral just cannot get the final kills.
Yeah, with the Ultralisks out now, the Zerg is going to have a much easier time breaking the position. Oh my god. The hatch goes down again. This is so bad. Now, there's no 4th base yet for Clem, but, you know, he can kind of take his time. I've seen styles like this where you basically just kind of run the push, and then when you mine out your main, you switch that CC out and land that at the 4th base so that you never really give up any momentum. Like, all the resources are going into pushes and upgrades.
Yeah, I think in a moment, Clem's going to have to lift off the command center in the main base and try and saturate either the 12 o'clock expansion or the expansion at 10 o'clock because there aren't very many minerals left. And yeah, there's the CC getting lifted, going to go over down to the 10 o'clock position. These Liberators continuing to cause problems, but Serral's been able to stabilize, and the supplies, they are advantageous right now for Clem. But there's a lot of potency in the army here for Serral. These are highly upgraded Ultras already with +3 armor. The Marauder count, I don't think is high enough to deal with them.
Yeah, he's going to take out that Ultra. And I mean, every Ultralisk right now is so important. That's you know, Clem is very, very tight on resources. He's basically just been losing all the bases in his exterior. Oh, that Swarm Host did finish. I saw that started. I think he might have accidentally made that a 2nd time.
Zerg players have all been there. Just the one random Swarm Host. And oh my god, this Fungal plus the 1 Corruptor gets all 3 Medivacs with units in them. So much army supply just dropped for Clem. Literally 1 Corruptor for Serral, paired with a Fungals. Just handled the crisis.
Corruptor no-scoping the The medevac crazy. That was a big mistake by Clem. He's got a lot less force on the map right now. He basically went to try to get even more damage, and it ended up in a position where the medevacs were completely punished. Is this game going to quiet down now on Serral's side of the map? He is expanding to 6 o'clock. The pushes seem to be a lot less potent.
Yeah, but I don't know if Clem can afford to let this game quiet down. There's no additional command centers in yet. He's on 60 drones or so. Some of them, or 60 SCVs, excuse me, some of them are falling right now over here as a Ling run by is able to pick off 4 more. I'm watching the production tab. Clem hasn't made any SCVs for a long time because he's not planning on pushing past 3 base saturation. And with some mine out here in the natural expansion, 58 SCVs, it's really all that Clem needs. But the problem is, Serral, he's on 4 bases. The 5th base just finished. He could start mining from that very soon. If Clem tries to slow the game down and go for additional command centers, Serral's just going to get too big, too fast. So Clem, excuse me, needs to keep attacking. But Serral's composition, it is looking so much better, Tasteless.
Okay, the Banes are going to come in here. A nice fungal on those units. And Clem's got to be careful. I don't know that he can push into any of these positions. He might have to start relying on split pushing. Oh, hold on a second. He's going to come in again. Now, the fungals are what's going to be key to stop this, because that's going to allow the Ultras to finally catch up and do the damage they need to do.
I mean, the Ultras just make mincemeat of Marauders and Marines once they get fungled, even without the Shroud here, as these Infestors are very low on energy. You see, once that Infestor energy runs out, the Ultras are not quite as effective. Clem, with great stutter step micro, able to focus fire almost 2 of them, one of them escaping on very low HP. But as long as Serral can make the fights messy like this, force Clem to try and micro in 2 spots at once, even Clem can't perfectly stutter step 2 armies. And so the Ultras and the Lings, they will be able to get some value wherever Clem's attention is spread the least. And I think that's one of the reasons why Serral's able to hold on over here on the bottom side. It's because he keeps going for these engagements on the top.
Okay, I mean, you could see there's basically 3 different tiny squads here for Clem. This is, by the way, just so physically taxing to be trying to stutter step micro this. It's a little bit easier for the Zerg to kind of A-click and then go to and figure out what else to prioritize on the map. And so he's going to end up chasing this all the way back to the expansion.
And if you watch the minimap when these fights happen, usually if you see one of Clem's army go for the engagement, oh, hold on that thought, actually. This is GG as Serral gets another money fungal there in the 3rd. And Serral also just putting his hand on his face. I mean, that was a stressful game.
That was a great game.
Yeah. Oh.
I think that the point where everything switched, because Clem was kind of winning for most of that, but then when he went for more damage with the medevacs.
Yeah.
He tried to fly in the main, and it was like, I think it was like 5 medevacs, and I think 2 or 3 of them were close to full.
Yeah, I think the 3 nearly full medevacs all got taken out by the 1 Corruptor and the Infestor. By the way, if Serral saw the... You know, like the cup trick where like you have like a ball in a cup and you kind of like spin it all around and you try to guess which one? Yeah. Like if Serral spotted all of the medevacs load up and was able to remember which 3 of the 6 medevacs were most fully loaded, like it's 1 Corruptor. Like, did he actually identify that? Because that was sick. He got all of the full medevacs. It was crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually, I like the way that you described that. You know, I think that Clem should have just pulled back there.
Yeah.
And maybe that game would have ended in a few minutes after that. You know, when you're playing a game and you're like, you get pushed and they take out your base, and then instead of even going for more damage, they just pack up and leave, and you're like, oh, okay, so they just won that, and I don't even get to trade. That was one of those moments where it really called for a situation like that. Guys, consider supporting us. I mean, look at how great these games have been. Do you want more of this? Consider going to the Patreon, patreon.com/RevivesC2. Dude, we started this league like 18 months ago, and we've been growing so much due to your guys' support. Now we're going to have our Season 6 finals at BlizzCon. We've got another big announcement, by the way, for the offline finals. They don't know. They don't know. You're listening to, you don't know what I'm going to announce. So sign up for the Patreon. Yeah, do that. Support us and our cause here. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to go to Game 3 here between these 2 players. Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for waiting. We're going to go into Game 3 now between Serral and Clem. Been a great series so far, by the way.
Yeah, it's been very close. You know, it's 1-1 already. Clem had a great win there in game number 1, but game number 2 was back and forth, nonstop. I think Serral just barely surviving until the Ultras got out. Really proved to be, you know, what gave him the staying power there in that game number 2. But I have no idea who's going to be winning any of these extra maps. I wouldn't be surprised if this series went all the way to a game number 5. I really hope that it does. They've been very exciting matches so far.
Clem was very close to closing that one out. I mean, he was basically on a really nice upward trajectory until he overextended. And, you know, the reality is, for the way that Serral's playing, he needs to get to that ultra tech and then faster tech, and then it's a lot harder to break the Zerg. So in some ways, that's like a game where the Terran is trying to force the game to end at a very specific point, like right before the hive tech really kicks in, and wasn't able to do it.
Yeah. All right. Serral spawning down here in the bottom right, Clem up in the top left. So we continue on in this best of 5, and I think you kind of hit the nail on the head. Like, Clem just needed to get a little bit more damage done. You know, he went for that opening with a very delayed 3rd command center. He never made a 4th CC. He actually had to lift the command center for the main base to take another mineral line. And if you're playing in a position like that one as Terran, like, the game is on a timer. You have to kill Zerg before they're able to get 4 or 5 bases up, be able to get that drone count to a healthy number, fully flesh out their tech tree, because once they have infestors and ultras and corruptors and everything else that they need, it's a nightmare to deal with. And so Clem already in the specified series, he's shown a couple of different styles. He went for the hyper greedy battle mech style there in game number 1, where his economic boom simply just outpaced Serral. And he won this war of attrition where he slowly chipped away at all the roaches, the lings, even overlords at some moments with the cyclones and the hellions. And he won that game. But then in game number 2, he kind of flipped the script, went for a very aggressive opening off of the barracks. And I wonder if that's kind of going to be the dynamic from Clem in this best of 5 series, where he either plays a hyper-economic cycle in the early game or a hyper-aggressive style in the early game.
Yeah, let's see what exactly it's going to be here. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I mean, I feel like Clem has looked so strong here today. You know, Serral, I honestly think that last map was pretty hard for him. I mean, you know, generally maps where you don't have a lot of places to kind of put your expansions that aren't too close to the Terran are tough. I think this map, as an example, is a little bit better for Zerg compared to the last one. But man, Clem's pushes were super scary.
To lay the command center like that, you're able to muster a lot of forces. The siege tank position also for Clem was just incredible there in that game number 2. Even defensively, like having one on the overhang there in the main base, we never really talked about it, but it just continuously shut down the counterattacks that Serral was going for at the 3rd base of Clem. I mean, the splash damage on the Lings, was absolutely huge. And so Clem, it seems like when he wants to go for this very aggressive siege tank marine base style, even on maps that he's probably going to be a little bit less familiar on here in the RSL, he either has the preparation or very good instinct for where to position his army. And so even here on Necropolis, which, you know, looking at the minimap, it should be a better map here for Serral. I'm worried if Clem decides to go for the same style, because it will be hard to stop.
Yeah. So here comes that Reaper, moving up into the map here. He did get a drone in the last game. Let's see how much damage he does this time.
4 Lings here in the main base. Queen about 75% done. And Serral's doing a very good job of just evenly distributing the damage on these Zerglings until that Queen finishes. But Clem is tenacious. He's going to go for these drones. If that grenade pushes it, okay, Spore Crawler drops there for Serral. Clem always makes it so close.
Yeah, I know. It's just right down to the wire there. And so this game is going to mirror a lot of the early game here of the last game we saw from Clem here. He's going to go for that 1-1-1. It is a 3rd command center. Well, hold on. I mean, is there a chance he goes mech here?
I mean, there's always a chance, I suppose.
Could be a merchant of game 1 and 2.
There's a starport here for Clem. And so this is already a lot more economic than it was in game number 2, but the development is otherwise kind of the same. You know, game number 2, he went for the barracks, the factory, the starport, 1-1-1, and then added in 2 more barracks, the 3-1-1 opening, and then eventually added in the 3rd command center. This is 3rd command center before starport, so Clem is going to be less under time pressure to get damage done in the early mid-game. He's going to have a lot more breathing room to scale his own economy at home. And this is one of the important things to do in a best-of-5 series at this kind of top level between players like Clem and Serral, who are simply the best of their race, the best of their faction, is being able to diversify your build openings like this one, because it really keeps your opponent guessing. It's one of the reasons why I think Serral has just continuously been the best Zerg player in the world, is because his scouting is so good.
Yeah. Now, we're getting to the point now where the Hellions are going to be coming out here. It's going to be Banshee Tech 2, and it is going to be with Cloak. So we'll see how much damage he can get off here. But again, this map is just structurally, it's a little bit better for Zerg compared to previous maps that we've seen on here. So I feel like this should be one where it's going to be harder. It doesn't mean Clem can't make his pushes work, but it's going to be harder to pull off.
Yeah, it's much easier for both sides to secure and defend 4 and 5 bases than previous maps that we had here, especially compared to Fear and Faith. I mean, taking a 5th base on that map, whether you're Terran or Zerg, is just a nightmare. So Serral going to come in now to the main base, and he will see no 2 barracks at this timing. I think he also spotted the 3rd command center. I hope he did. If we can get a shot of Serral's vision, we'll be able to confirm whether he saw the 3rd CC. But he should have a very good idea of exactly what Clem is going for. And so he knows there's going to be a lot less pressure coming in the mid game. There is no 2 barracks follow-up, or at least the 2 barracks are going to be delayed. So any kind of Marine tank push, should Clem decide to go down that path, we'll be hitting like a minute plus later. It's going to give Serral a lot more time to drone up, to flesh out his tech tree, build up his economy, and he's got to be feeling good about that.
Yeah, so that 3rd CC, he's going to start collecting a lot more resources over there and basically using these Banshees and the Hellions to try to chip away at anything that he can get from the Zerg over here. Banshee gets chased back a little bit. We've got Stim about halfway done. The double E-Bays here, obviously a nod to the fact that we are going to be going up to 8 racks here, with Clem doing that kind of classic Terran push.
Serral continuing to develop. No 4th hatchery just yet. It's been kind of cool to watch Serral play the first 3 games of the Best of 5 series, because he's kind of going for a similar approach in all the games where he gets the full 3-base saturation like this, and then kind of has an explosion in terms of tech, whether it be going into a hive or like right now going for double evolution chamber, adding the Spire, the Baneling Nest, just getting all these tech structures. Not that fun actually. Queen's getting isolated here off creep for just a moment. Oh, the grenade actually pushed that one off. No more transfuses available, but with reinforcements coming in, Sir will be able to keep these Queens alive. Clem made a very good show of trying to get that thing taken out.
Yeah, so the Baneling's Nest just finished up. We've got the Spire tech coming out here. So Clem's going to also be going for, a very old and obviously very strong style of Lingbane Muta. And one of the things about when you go for Lingbane Muta versus like the kind of classic Terran Bio style is once the Mutas are out, when you win fights, you get to obliterate the Terran, right? It's very different from like Roach Ravager, where the Terran loses a fight and basically gets to pick up and move away, and the Zerg is not allowed to make any mistakes. This is quite different, where the punishes can be very, very real.
Yeah, and actually, excuse me, I thought this was a 2 evolution chamber opening here for Serral. It's actually just the 1 Evo chamber here for Carapace, and that makes a lot of sense. If you're going for a Lingbane Muta style like this one, it is so gas intensive. You can't really afford to spend gas on anything other than keeping the Banelings on the creep to be able to deal with the bio pushes, and also just slowly snowballing that Mutila's count in the air as Clem finally coming online. He's going to start asserting some pressure over here down by the 4th base, but you can already see, even without Baneling speed, the army from Serral is so large right now. He did this very conservatively with a 4th hatchery coming in quite late. That's going to give a lot of staying power to Serral's army.
Okay, we've got the push coming down now. Is this going to be enough, though? A lot of these Marines have not quite healed up, by the way. The medevac's kind of lagging behind them, so you got to be careful. He is going to be pushing right down here at 6 o'clock, taking the creep tumors out. We only see Queens. I think there's a couple more Lings. Banes are morphing as well, but they're not quite ready.
And Combat Shield's still about 15 seconds away. A little bit of an awkward timing here for Clem. This 1-1 is done, but those Marines very vulnerable right now before those Combat Shields are finished. So Clem instead just biding his time for now. But it seems he feels like the window has closed, and Serral's identifying this too. He's actually sectioned off, I believe, a lot of Mutas. Mutas or Lings here on the top side. Yeah, it's the Mutas that have actually sectioned off to the north side of the map to try and get damage done. So Serral confident in the defense back at home. Now looking to try and get some damage in either the natural expansion or the 3rd base here of Clem.
Ooh, nice connect on those Mutas. Looks like he will end up taking out the gas, but the more important thing that's happening is going to be this push down here. Is there enough to actually fight this? It's just Widow Mines here. No tanks, nothing kind of anchoring this to where the Zerg can be super abused, with Terran kiting.
Yeah, but the lack of creep spread really makes this a difficult hold for Serral. If the Lings can get us around, it will solve that problem, though, as the Banelings, they connect on top of the Hellbats. Those get cleaned up. The meat shield is gone here for Clem, but a second push has arrived over at the 5th base.
I don't know that he can save this at all. I mean, the Widow Mines are going to burrow. They're going to be able to kill this before anything can get here. He's not even canceling it, so he does drop the hatchery.
Clem just continuing to push into this expansion is really complicating the defense for Serral. Not having creep spread makes it so much harder to get Lings and Banelings to surround and connect on that army. And by the way, these Widow Mines just getting even more value. 2 more mutas do get taken out. No focus fire on the medevac, so the Marine's getting a little bit more damaged on those mutas, but not a crisis by any means here for Serral.
Yeah, Serral continuing to pave his side of the map with creep and hatcheries over here. Clem is beginning to push down here again. This is going to be a harder angle. Not this one, but the one shot we had before there. There's so much creep over here to try to hack and saw your way through before you can even get to the hatchery target.
But does Serral actually have enough Banelings? He's morphing in 13 more right now. I see some are over here down by that third base, but Clem's also attacking in the bottom left side of the map. Lifts up into 3 medevacs trying to escape this situation. It's a very taxing situation for both these players. You know, you gotta be able to deal with the push there on the bottom side and the right side. And with explosive army compositions like this one, especially, you know, like the Mutalisks, they're very glass cannon units, kind of like these Marines. They can't sustain a lot of damage. One miss micro on either side could just prove to be fatal, as that Baneling is going to connect, or the Widowmine, excuse me, connects with a ton of Banelings right now. Marines low on HP, trying to get away.
Oh my god, they're so low. If these mutas can actually catch the medevacs here too, it's going to be devastating. Yeah, and he is going to take all of this out. Meanwhile, there's another push here at 6 o'clock. The already bruised hatchery is going to start dropping HP really quickly if this army can't get over here in time.
Oh, so many Widow Mines.
Ooh, he might. Okay, he targets really, really well. I think there's just enough mutas that in Banes that he can win this. Yeah, he's going to be able to drive that back.
Yeah, but Clem behind this, he's taken to 4th base. He's adding in a 5th command center, so he's not fully committed to trying to end the game right now. He's developing his economy quite nicely back at home. It's actually 81 SCVs to 81 drones, so economically, we're very even between these two players. It's really just who is going to be taking these trades more cost effectively. And you can see right now the units lost tab. It is near identical between these two. A real tug of war as Clem once more pushes over here on the right side.
Okay, he's coming back. He's going to chase down this infantry, and this is going to get nothing done. He's going to have to try to pull away. Zerg doesn't have an opening yet to really do a counterattack. Well, he's going to actually hit with these mutas. I didn't realize there's just one turret over here, so I completely take back what I said. His counterattack is going to do really well over here at this 3rd base.
Tunneling Clause is done now, so Mine's going to burrow very quickly over here. Serral has to be careful. Does not want to allow Clem to get some big connections on top of those Mutalisks. And Muta's in high enough number that with +1 flyer attack, they can still snipe down these barracks in a hurry. Some nice moves coming out of Serral, who's working his way towards Hive Tech. Trying to get additional upgrades right now. That Evolution Chamber working overtime is working on +2 Carapace, now working on +2 melee attack here for our Zerg player. And it's going to be critical that Serral continues to revitalize the creep spread in the center. He's just now adding tumors all the way on the bottom left side, but having creep makes the defense so much easier with Ling Baneling.
Yeah, he's going to be able to chase this back now. Good pickups. Without the mutas here, you know, you can't actually go for the full punish. You can't go for the kill move on that. You know, Serral's been doing a good job holding off these pushes, but Terran is starting to get pretty big and scary. I don't know if Serral knows about this base at the top right, but he needs to find out pretty quickly.
Even if Serral were to find out about it, though, I'm not sure that he can really do much. I think he's probably just assuming that Clem is continuing to build up behind it. But unless you have the eco to throw away on a bunch of Banelings and just run them into a planetary fortress, I don't see how you're going to be able to take down those expansions. And so for Serral right now, the main priority is just trying to defend the bases that he's already got. As Clem pushes once more here on the right side, and I almost think this is kind of Clem baiting Serral into pulling the entire army over here so that he can snipe the bases in the bottom left.
Yeah, Clem's doing a great job here. The question. Oh! Whoa. That was insane. Okay, so this hatchery's going to go down.
I mean, that Widow Mine must have gotten like 20 Banelings.
Yeah.
That was a huge hit by Clem.
You ever seen these like videos where like it shows exactly how much damage like a certain shot does? Like you can tell how big the Widow Mine shot is because of that. And now Serral's going to take out the 12 o'clock base. So Serral, I think, is actually still not scouted the top right. He basically went for what he thought was the most vulnerable exposed base. Oh my god, and that hatchery goes down as well.
A lot of expansions following. 3 bases in total, 2 of Serral's and 1 of Clem's as Serral pushes into the natural expansion, thinks better of it, now retreats back and he might check the top right corner now. Oh, especially seeing an SCV coming in from that side. That has to build some suspicion.
Okay, he's gonna, yeah, now he sees it. This is always a weird moment in StarCraft when you think the game's in a certain state because you didn't realize a base was there. Now, I think he can still punish this. This is, again, a really hard position for Clem to actually defend. It's kind of marooned out here on the far top right. If Serral can hold this push off and hit that location at the top right and take it out, I think he's probably destined to win this game.
Could be, but keep in mind, Serral, he's sustaining a lot of damage of his own. He's reset down to what is basically a 4-base eco. Clem is also effectively on a 3-base eco right now as Serral once more comes in. Widow Mines are going to soften these Minas a little bit, but there's enough DPS to take down both of those turrets.
That was kind of a cool move. Serral faked out Clem. He basically went to the top right and then just kind of waited there. And Clem thought that the Mutas were looping back around to the bottom, so he thought he could move out. But then he went in there and did a little bit more damage.
I mean, this has just been a great game, a real back and forth between both these players. Serral is continuing to try and fish for damage with these Mutas, but they really haven't gotten too much done over the last couple of minutes. And it's a concerning position for Serral because even though Serral is ahead in supply right now, he's on 80 drones to the 50 SCVs of Clem. The army supply for Terran is much higher than Zerg right now, and this is a critical time in the game where I don't think Serral has many Ultras. Yeah, it's just one Ultra. There are 4 Infestors. But these spellcasters are going to be critical to the defense. Without the firepower, without the staying power of a healthy Ultralist count, Clem on 138 army supply has huge potential to pulverize the position of Serral.
Okay, so I don't think Clem can do much with this just yet. He's going to try to push it. Actually, I take that back. He's taking everything that he's got down here now. So he's not split pushing anymore. He's going to try to basically hold this position, wipe out 6, and then the base to the left of this.
With no creep spread, the Marines, they can micro back behind the Marauders, and the Banelings are never going to connect, so Serral going to dive in once more. He needs to clean up those Marauders. The Banelings trying to chase off creep, but they're too slow to connect with the Marines.
Yeah, it's hard. Okay, gets another amazing fungal. That group is going to be wiped out. 1 or 2 more fungals like that, and I think there's going to be not a whole lot that Clem can do. Clem's army is now so small, he has to run all the way back. Clem has filled in the top right 3 spots very nicely, and you know, sometimes the best offense is the best defense. You know what I mean? Or the best defense is the best offense. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I got you.
Whatever that cliche is. Like, but the reality is, like, yeah, Clem is able to get all these bases up because Serral's so preoccupied trying to defend everything.
And Serral, even though that was a great fight, he's still just on these 5 bases, only just now taking a 6th base in the bottom left. So once those drones get to work, it's going to be a big economic bonus here for Serral. I just think back to that fungal there on Clem's bio. So many Marines got caught in it. In a stage in the game where Clem is just kind of limping back into resaturating these bases, I'm not sure he's going to have enough because right now, Serral, he's up in army supply. The Ultras, they're really starting to come online, and the medevac count is so low here for Clem. Mapu highlighted it a moment ago, but so many medevacs have fallen over the course of this game that without healing, I mean, you're going to stim again here as Clem, and that bio will be so low on HP.
Oh, man, the position right now for Clem is so flimsy. He's got all these bases. These are all just kind of hard to defend, right? That's not a planetary at that base that's most exposed, which means it's much, much harder to hold. I think the main CC is being swapped, or actually the natural CC is being swapped out to take that base over there. Doesn't mean that Clem's dead, but like if he has a couple more fights that he loses, he's out.
He's very close to being knocked out right now. I mean, the units lost the units tab make it look so much worse than it was GG. A moment ago. GG is called.
I was like, he's not quite dead yet, but it's good. Okay, he's dead. He's gone.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like it was going to be better for Clem, but I think we got accustomed to all these reinforcements just streaming across the map. Serral did some real damage, taking out the SCVs, forcing lifts, killing command centers. And so Clem, you know, that was the first real hiccup in his economy, where he couldn't just continue mass-producing these units out of the barracks. And you could really feel it, because it's one bad fight, but it's like, oh, well, you know, that was a bad fight. Like, Serral had a great fungal. But surely there's more coming after this. And then you look at the units tab, and it's like, no, there's 3 medevacs on the field. The reinforcements, they simply are not there. And that's going to be Serral going down to match point.
Yeah. Nicely done. I think that was probably the easiest map for Serral. I think a strong map.
Yeah, but
strong map for sure.
I mean, it's still such a challenge for both these guys. Yeah, I mean, they're such a close match for each other.
It's been great games so far. So Serral is now in the lead here. Clem's going to try to start that comeback. And we're going to go on to Ruby Rock here for map number 4.
Ruby Rock going to be a lot of fun. A little bit more of an aggressive map, in my opinion. I think it should be better for Clem. So, fingers crossed here for a game number 5.
No cheeses so far.
Yeah.
Everything's been real, like, hardcore macro development TVZs here.
I mean, the closest thing that we've got was, like, the eco cheese of going, like, what was, like, 205? You threw down the 3rd command center, then it goes in battle mech and speed band cheese. Like, that's not technically, but it kind of feels like a cheese.
I meant like a cheese is in, like, let's end the game, like, you know, like some kind of crazy, I don't know, bunker rush or something like that. You know, Ling Bane bus, something like that.
We haven't had any insane early aggression from either side for sure.
But yeah, this is a tighter, more boxy map, so yeah, maybe this is going to be one that Clem can pull off and bring us to game 5.
Honestly, if I'm Serral in this position, I might just want to go for something like a Baneling bust or some kind of like heavy Roach Ravager aggression, because thinking back to the earlier games in this series, Clem, he went for the super greedy like CC first play into a lot more macro development just in game number 1. I would kind of expect him to dip back into that well here in game number 4 or game number 5. But if you're up 2-1 in a best of 5, you've got 2 games to play with. I wouldn't mind just trying to greed check Clem in case he goes for a CC first.
So it's going to be, for now, probably Rax gas into a delayed command center here. Serral did a great job in that last game, really hanging on. I mean, it's impressive because in all the games that Clem's been pushing with Bio, he's actually succeeded in taking hatches out. And usually that's, in a TVZ where the Terran wins, that's always how the win starts, right? Is you pop a couple of hatcheries, the Zerg's destabilized, the Zerg can't quite tech into what they want, they don't quite have enough bases, and the push breaks the Zerg at some point in time. But the fact that Clem is, in both games, killing off at least 2 hatcheries in the push, in that critical moment right before the Zerg can explode economically, and Serral still holds and still fights back.
Yeah, thinking back to the earlier games in this series, I think it largely is based on the development style of Serral. If you look at games 1 through game 3, it feels like that Serral is really trying to power primarily on a 3-base economy. And he's going for these 4th hatches, of course. You want the larva, you want the potential to be able to continue to develop your macro, but he's not going for them in a way that he hinges the future of the game on it. You know, he's really happy just to keep like 67 drones or so of full 3-base saturation set up and just flesh out with evolution chambers with a lot of different tech options and get ready to battle Clem in the mid game. And he only really starts to saturate the 4th base when it feels like he has a strong foothold with his army. That's the approach that Serral's been going for over the course of this entire series, and that means that, you know, Clem, if he does go for something like, say, 3 barracks, like a 3-1-1 before adding in the 3rd command center, and he does get a hatch snipe, well, suddenly Serral's not out of the game. A Zerg that would play a lot more greedily, trying to go up into some like 70 or 80 drones very fast, or rush a hive very fast on a high drone count, might get knocked out, but Serral, just because he's playing this more conservative style where he just wants to fight in the mid game on 3-base economy, it still works for him. And so I think it produces some really dynamic games. It's been fun to watch Serral develop in that way.
Yeah, it's so exciting watching him play. So we've got the 3 CCs here. Let's see if there's any mech, by the way. I know that when he did go mech, he went CC first into 3cc mech, right? So it's a little bit different, but I don't think there's... I mean, we don't know yet. The game's still in a very new, like, fresh iteration, right? But I think there's a world where you could still mech with a slightly altered build order like that.
Yeah, so far, I think this is the identical build to what we saw in the previous game.
Yeah. It may be, like, an absolute, like, carbon copy of that. Yeah, I mean, we might go all the way to that same build.
Coming back into the main base right now. So cannot corral it with those lings, but... some pretty good management by Serral. And if you look at the 3rd base position for Serral, expanding to this triangle expansion, once Clem actually establishes his own triangle base there in the center, it's not very far away from the 3rd base of Serral. And so, you know, in the previous game, it was the same build order here for Clem. You go barracks, factory, command center, and then you add in starport and the extra gas. He went into a very late game focused, or macro focused, I should say, style in that previous game. But I feel like on this one, you can kind of just play the 3 command centers and try to kill Zerg with how forward these hatcheries feel.
Yeah, so he's just going to be out here poking this hatch. We do have the Banshees with a cloak again. as Serral's basically securing that third triangle base over there. More poke's going to come in here as well. Oh, Clem, is he going to commit? I was going to say, a lot of times you got to be careful because once you dive in and try to kill drones, then all the creep just gets to spread out on the map. So you really, I think it's almost better to not do it than to go in, unless you're like so confident you're going to get drone kills.
Yeah, especially with just 2 Hellions. You need a minimum of 4 to really be able to stack up the damage if you dive in.
Yeah, otherwise it just takes too many shots on the drones to kill him. So it is going to be just bio, like we've seen before here. The Overlord does see the third command center, so Serral knows exactly what kind of game this is. No mysteries right now.
Serral is so good with the scouting over the course of this entire series. Whether it be one Ling, whether it be an Overlord scout. You know, it's a little bit expensive losing an Overlord like this, but the information is just absolutely worth it. And so let's watch and see if Serral does kind of the same development pattern where he goes up to 66 drones, stops there, even though he is trying for a 4th hatchery, just really builds up his production base. Because it's been working for him thus far, and I think that here on Ruby Rock, where it's much harder to secure a 4th and a 5th base than some of these other maps that we've played in this best of 5 series, I think that Serral's going to need a very formidable army in the mid game if he wants to survive the pressure coming out from Clem.
Okay, so we've got that third base landed. Baneling's Nest about halfway done. Same with Stim. And he's going to go for it. He's going to go for the dive. Gets 2, but trades out a Hellion there. The Banshees are going to come down here as well. And they can actually take out the Queen. Nicely done. The one that actually had the mana, or the energy.
Yeah, I think the front Queen also had the energy for Transfuse, but was just slightly off creep. So a little bit unfortunate there for Serral. But Serral, look at this. Ling's able to skirt into the natural expansion here. And yeah, Clem is going to clean this up. I don't think he loses any SCDs.
I actually thought he lost way more Marines than that. I was going to say,
it's only 3.
Yeah, I don't know. There was some kind of something deceptive about the way the fight looked. I thought he lost all the Marines and it was SCVs that were just left over. But I
mean, Serral definitely got the damage done to kill like 5 Marines there, but I think it was just so perfectly distributed that...
That's a great time to kill Marines because that's right when you're starting the Marine accumulation, right? So if you take out the Marines, then that means the medevac Marine push that is inevitably going to come is later, so the Zerg gets, a much, much better position. Oh, this is really bad. Oh, man.
Yeah, it's a bit unfortunate there for Clem. His attention was elsewhere.
Yeah, didn't he? When I was watching his cam, it felt like he didn't react at all. I don't know if it was mishotKeyed or what.
He still might not know. No, it sucks losing Banshees like that. He must have thought he moved them a little bit further away, but nice pick off here for Serral.
So we've got a small push coming out. Is there no medevac with this? Oh, there is. Okay. But not enough. Not 2. So he's got to be careful because anything that surrounds here, some of these Marines are going to get killed off.
Fast Hive coming in here for Serral.
He's got the second medevac coming out here with a tank. I don't know. Is Serral going to have he should have enough to hold this, right?
Certainly feels that way. With 1-1 finishing, there is some potential for Clem to get damage done, but it feels like there's enough Lings and Banelings to at least keep the hatchery alive. Look, it's even a macro hatch here for Serral. He doesn't want to be in the same position that he was earlier on in the series where you lose the 4th base and suddenly you don't have the larva to actually produce the Ling Baneling that you want to.
Okay, so he started the push over here. He's going to start to chip away. I think it's only 1 tank. Is that correct?
It's 1 tank, but we just had, I think, 2 more medevacs full of Marines join this force. So this is becoming a...
This is a super conservative position here. Oh my god, there's really just nothing to defend right now. So he's going to send the Lings back up. The tank can't really be taken advantage of, but it's hard for Zerg to attack in. He's going to try to set up a flank. The hatch is at half health, so if he's going to try to defend it, he basically has to be right now. He shoos the Terran away, but Terran, if they dive in one more time, they're going to be able to commit down here. And Serral, I mean, that was such a masterful hold there. He waited until the last second, allowing the hatchery to tank just enough damage and not lose it, to then come in there and smother that push.
Yeah, hit points are a resource. Serral using all the HP on that hatchery to buy himself some time. Clem will be able to snipe down the 5th hatch over here on the bottom side of the map. Going to come into the main base now, but...
Yeah, the Spore actually makes it impossible to land over there. I love the placement of that. So we're going to have another attack over here. This time it's going to be at 3 o'clock.
Infestors are out, though. Uncle gets 4 Marines. 2 Widow Mines going to be cleaned up right there as well. Clem just continuing to power on these 3 bases. The 4th command center just now finished, but The army supply is actually advantageous right now for Clem. Serral really needs a lot more units on the field. You know, he went to the Hive Tech, but we don't have Adrenal Glands up just yet. There's no Ultralist Tech coming in. This is pretty concerning, you know? Clem, he's getting some good trades up here on the top side, and Serral has to fight because the hatchery's so low on HP.
I don't know if this is... Okay, it is, excuse me, just enough to surround that, to drive it back. 6 o'clock, is there is there a hatchery there? Yeah, there is a hatchery actually being built down there. I can see the health bar, the empty part. Yeah, so he just keeps poking that out. Now again, you know, Clem is really delivering here. He's got superior supply, he's got a bigger army, but we have seen Serral recover from this before.
And Serral still hasn't lost the 4th base. The 5th base is getting stopped, but Serral, even though he's on 79 drones right now, they're pretty much saturated optimally. And oh man, that's a huge fungal for Serral once more. A ton of those lings get cleaned up. That's going to force the rest of them to lift off here for Clem. And Clem, who has been building up a pretty substantial army supply lead. Oh man, another fungal. Serral's spellcasting is simply the best in the business. He just keeps catching these huge clumps of units.
Okay, so he's going to attack it again here at 6. 6 has always been the weakest point here for Serral, and I don't know if it's going to be any different this time around. He's going to morph Banes. These are very, very close. This is always a bad sign when you see all the Banes morphing over the hatchery that is going to be inevitably killed off here.
This counterattack from Serral going to be absolutely huge, though, at the 3rd base from Clem. It's why the army was honestly so paltry there at the 6 o'clock position, but Clem, with these reinforcements, will be enough to usher away Serral. Hatchery gets sniped again. Serral trying once more to clean this position up, but you know, Clem, he's so good with the hot pickups here on these medevacs. It's just hard to get the final killing blows unless you have that fungal.
Yeah, I mean, I have lost count, literally, of how many times this hatchery's been killed. I think it's like 4 or something.
Yeah, it's 4 or 5 times I think that hatchery's gone down.
It's crazy. Serral tries to counterattack. You know, in this tug of war, Zerg can bleed off a lot. And that does add up over time. Serral's hitting here once more.
And Serral actually distance mining from this hatchery. He was really expecting to be able to keep it alive the last time he built it.
Right.
That last cancel, or I should say kill, actually was probably the most substantial one there for Clem in terms of getting damage done.
So he's almost got the Ultralist Tech out. And usually with Serral, once he gets that Ultralist Tech out, that's when the Terran pushes really become a lot weaker.
Yeah, but Clem, this time he actually is posturing to be able to play a late game. He's going into the Ghost Academy now. He's adding in additional command centers. I'm on 4 bases currently, but he would love to get more damage done with the army he has on the field. If he can just continue to cancel this hatchery down at the 6 o'clock position, it would be huge here for Clem. That fungal only connecting with medevacs. Honestly, well controlled by Clem so far, but Serral just has so many units.
So, you know, the Ultras are out now. They're good to go. Serral's reaching all the way into the top right side of the map. We are running out of bases for Zerg. Like, it's hard to imagine Zerg actually able to expand into the lower left. We could end up with Clem forced into exhaust play. It does seem like he doesn't... It's a little bit different from Maro. Like, you can say Maro withdraws a lot earlier than Clem does when you watch both these guys play, where Clem kind of commits trying to force the game to end. But Clem may be forced into that kind of style. We see him teching into Ghosts now.
Oh, huge Widowmine shot here for Clem. Yeah, about that style, I think it's just that Clem is better than multitasking at basically everybody in StarCraft 2, with maybe the one exception of being Serral. And so, yeah, it makes sense for him to constantly go for these skirmishes. The problem is that Serral is just keeping up with him. And now Serral really mustering a strong army, going to be trying to take down that planetary fortress at the 9 o'clock position. I think he has enough to get it, but it will be a little bit of a trail of bases. Top right hatchery will get sniped there by Clem. This planetary fortress goes down, so Clem reset down to a 3-base economy, although he has another orbital, or command center, I should say, floating down in the bottom left. And Serral reset down to 5 bases. Serral keeping the 6 o'clock alive during all of this means that even though they trade 1 base for 1 base, Serral still has a much more sturdy economic foundation. He can continue to macro up. You can see right now, even though the worker counts are relatively even, you know, 74 versus 89 in terms of these bases, like all the mineral lines are going to be fully saturated. Serral is still like 1,000 minerals up, despite the fact that Terran has mules, just because he has that extra mining base.
Okay, we've got the push coming in here now. And everything that Serral's got is going to be merging up into this. And, you know, it's all Marauders, but if these Lings get the surround, he's going to be forced to pick up. Now, there's no mutas or anything, so... Oh, my God, he doesn't get the pickup. Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, that's huge.
I actually hadn't seen those Corruptors until he left right there. But yeah.
I think those Corruptors just popped, yeah.
Well, I mean, it's funny, you know, a few minutes ago, Clem seemed to have almost the same amount of the map as Serral, and that's completely changed. Clem's back onto 4 bases. Serral's still taking a huge amount of the map right now.
The income advantage firmly on Serral's side now, despite Clem having 74 SCVs. Clem just struggling to secure these extra bases right now. Reset onto 4 command centers, or 4 mining bases, I should say. And even though Clem, it seems like he is trying to posture for a late game with the Ghost Academy, he just hasn't really been able to get the number of units out. And the fact that Serral was able to take out some Ghosts and so many Marauders in that last engagement, it really reset the army development here for Clem. You know, Terran in this kind of position, they kind of want to build a Death Volley army of Ghosts, and Clem just isn't there. There might be like 2 or 3 Ghosts in total on the map right now.
Keep in mind, if either of these bases on the outside get knocked out, which might happen right now, Clem is going to be without a lot of room here on the map. He actually wraps all the way around. He was trying to go for some SCVs. He doesn't quite get the kill. You know, it's huge to lose the command centers, but sometimes if you kill the CC and all the SCVs there, it really, really takes the wind out of the sails for the Terran.
Clem trying to take out this top right base again. I think he might be able to get it after he has the EMP on the Infestor and takes out that Ultralisk. So it's 1 base traded for 1 base once more. But we saw this story already, and it was better for Serral just because Serral was able to keep the 6 o'clock expansion alive. This time, Clem is going into a faster expansion at the 12 o'clock, so he's going to try and be able to recover that way. But you know, trading 1 base for 1 base when one player just has more of the map, it feels so much better for Serral.
Yeah, he's going to force a liftoff there. So the 9 o'clock spot's gone. The 12 o'clock spot, it's going to probably be reclaimed here. Well, actually, maybe not. But the point I'm trying to make is that, I mean, there's not a lot left on the map here. You can see that the base in between those 2 bases is empty. So, like, Clem is almost out of oxygen. If he can't... Oh, my God.
Yeah.
And the Corruptors actually get the snipe on the command center. So, like, Clem either manages to live and keep a base up, and the game goes on, or Serral has basically shut him out of this game and will win 3-1.
And Clem is going for what feels like one last Hail Mary push. Almost his entire army is mustered over here on the right side of the map. 3 Ghosts, 20 Marines and 20 Marauders. Serral going for the engagement right now. Actually not going for a full surround, trying to chase off of Creep. This is about the best fight that Clem could ask for.
Yeah, that was not good for Serral. Like, you know, in games like this, again, it's not like Serral's going to lose if he doesn't kill Clem right here, but, like, this is your opportunity to shut it out. Barely saves that hatchery. That's so crazy.
That Fungal's so good for Serral again, though, and Clem. Eventually, the attrition is going to be a little bit too much for him. Honestly, the counterattacks there for Serral, just being able to reset Clem onto a lower and lower base count, really seemed to be the winning factor in that final game.
If Serral gets Ultras out, the game really gets flipped on its head. But there was a period where Clem was going up to like 6 or 7 bases or something like that.
Yeah, he's trying to.
Yeah. And then in the course of a minute or two, they both are kind of base trading at one point in time. There was like Clem attacking on the right side of the map and Serral moving up through the bottom and the left. Serral took that trade really well. And then basically it was all about just shutting down the last 2 exterior bases, right?
Yeah. I was honestly surprised at how fast Serral was able to build up his economy in that final game. I was kind of expecting him to stay mostly on like 66 drones for a pretty substantial duration. The way that he did earlier on in the series, but he was able to push up into the 70s quite fast. And so Serral going to be the first player to advance to the upper bracket final. He will await the winner of herO versus Rogue to determine the first berth. It's that September 13th grand finals. Cannot wait for it. And that was a great series. No, Clem, he's going to fall now into the lower bracket. You have 2 lives in this double elimination format tournament. And he's going to be going up against Solar on August 8th.
Yes, that's going to be next weekend here. We close out the studio portion of the tournament and then go to BlizzCon. herO versus Rogue is coming up next. Guys, quick plug for some merch. We've got RSL merch. We've got Tasteless merch. We've got a bunch of great stuff at TastelessThreads.com. Go there. Check it out. And I think you'll find something that you like over there. We're going to have a short little break. When we come back, we're going to go on to our next match here in tonight's RSL. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. We are ready to go into our second best of 5 of the night. Serral has advanced, defeating Clem 3-1.
Yeah, and now it is time for herO versus Rogue. And this is going to be another banger of a match, honestly. Clem versus Serral was epic. It was a war of attrition from Game 1 all the way through Game 4. I mean, that was one of the best series you could possibly ask for. Really, the only way it could be better is if we went to a game number 5. But in any case, Serral just running the gauntlet, taking that 3-1 win. And now we're going to have the best Protoss player in the world going up against a Rogue who has been on fire in this patch.
Yeah, you know, it's Rogue, you know, he did his military service, he came back, and, you know, people are always saying, you know, are you able to get into the form you were in before your military service? I think he could do it. He's looked really, really strong. He's got a really wide range of play. Like, you do not know what Rogue's going to do in any given game.
He's capable of doing absolutely anything. And I know that kind of sounds like a cliche, but I genuinely believe that Rogue, more than any other Zerg player I've seen, fully utilizes the Zerg arsenal in basically every matchup, particularly in ZVP. You'll see him go for hatch blocks, proxy hatches with spine crawlers. You'll see him use swarm hosts. You'll see him use Nidus worms. If there is a tool that Zerg has, Rogue is going to try and find a way to use it to the best of its ability. It's what makes him so fun to watch, and this should be a great series.
Yeah. Let's see what herO's got, you know, for us here. I think you're 100% correct. I think he's the strongest Protoss there is right now. And, you know, I think herO is kind of the favorite going into this, as strong as Rogue is. I mean, herO's had an amazing couple of years here. And, you know, for a while, Protoss have been looking very strong.
Yeah.
You know, we have these periods. I think historically, you know, we had a time when Zerg were kind of winning everything. And Terrans obviously have had their moments of dominance, but especially in our tournament, especially in RSL, I mean, it's only been Protosses winning. Let's see if he's going to do it again this time around. Remember that the winner of this goes on to face off against Serral. And whoever wins there will get a seat at BlizzCon.
Yeah, that upper bracket final going to be absolutely huge. And no matter what matchup we get, whether it be herO or Rogue advancing to face off against Serral in that upper bracket final, it's just going to be an epic match. I mean, the RSL is so stacked here in Season 6. It's really shaping up to be the best season of RSL ever.
Yeah, this is, I don't know. I'm so excited to see who's going to take this between these two. Clem and Serral was already such a treat. So in this game, we've got the Probe Scout coming out here right away. And seeing that Rogue has gone for Hatch Gas Pool. This is a map where you get these a little base, kind of corner, like pocket base, I think is what we've been calling it, in the back, which also does have a little, you know, avenue for workers to get in and out of.
Yeah, but only 5 minerals, not the 8 that base normally gets. Only 1 Vespene gas. So there is a trade-off if you decide to go for the more conservative option here.
Yeah, it basically, like, it seems like the way a lot of people like to play this now is just expand out as much as you can, and then if there's any pressure or any instability in your position, take that back base.
Yeah. Well, it's a very fun map. Celestial Enclave, really, in every map pool that it's been in, has been the most macro-oriented map in that pool.
Right.
And so we'll see. We'll see if we're going to have a long macro game here between these two. I would love to see it. But herO, you know, he's been pretty aggressive in his PvZs so far on this patch. A lot of games he's played in online tournaments so far have been Void Ray based, but it seems like over the last couple of weeks, there's been a lot more developments. I'm not sure how much of this is due to, you know, the new iterations that we're getting in patches. You know, gateways with Warp Gate research produce a little bit faster now than they did even when the 8-worker patch went live. I believe it's a 50% bonus as opposed to a 40% bonus. And herO's been mixing in some pretty cool play to try and capitalize on that, whether it be like 2 gates that are just churning out adepts constantly, and he just keeps shading them into the 3rd base, the 4th base of Zerg players. And then behind that going for who knows what sort of tech. He has a much more wide range of style now than he did at the beginning of the 8-worker start, and I think it makes herO a much more fearsome opponent to try and deal with.
So we've got that Stargate about to finish. Probably going to be an Oracle, but let's see what he goes for. Could be some surprises in store for us. And it's going to be that Void Ray, okay. Which you were kind of mentioning earlier, State. So the Void Ray, you know, it is not as much of an offensive play as a kind of fix-all for any harass. You clear overlords, and you get a 3rd base basically every time.
Yeah, and I think for herO, especially as he's been developing with a lot more variance in his play over the past couple of weeks, opening with the Void Ray is a very smart move because it's going to limit the scouting of Rogue. And you never know how heavily a player like herO is going to be going into the Void Rays. There will be an Oracle follow-up right now, but this doesn't mean that herO won't go into, say, 2 or 3 Stargate Void after this third base fully becomes online right now. The Void Ray, it's just kind of, as Tasteless said, a catch-all. It'll clear the Overlords. It'll limit the scouting of Rogue. It'll provide some sustained damage to keep that third base alive. And the Oracles are going to gather some scouting information, get some harassment done for herO. But we're still waiting to see what the big tech choice will be for our Protoss player. With the Forge coming down, I'm imagining we'll have more gateways in the Twilight Council thrown down too in just a moment. It's looking like it might be a bit more of a gateway-focused style.
Yeah, you know, one thing about when you go for Void Ray is it never indicates what's going to happen next. It's actually why this opening, I think, is so strong. Oh, what's up, son?
You thought you were blocking my scouting, herO.
Where's your Void Ray god now?
Oh, this is sick.
The drone scout.
Spots
Look at
the
that.
Forge.
Sees everything.
Sees no Twilight Council. And hero's actually been churning out a couple of sentries.
You're going to send the Oracle back to kill it?
I think you should, honestly.
Yeah.
Oh, hero's going to reveal the sentries.
I can attack 2 sentries. Oh.
They're pretty sad against everything except shields. This might be a sentry push coming out from herO. He's making a third one. I'm kind of surprised that he showed both sentries there to Rogue. I thought he would likely bring the Void Ray or the Oracle back and try and keep the sentries hidden.
I think you should only show one. Yeah. Well, right now, like, Rogue knows exactly where hero's money went.
It's unusual to show the sentries in a position like this one because hero's continuing to make them. And there was a change in one of the recent iterations in StarCraft 2 where it now takes 2 biles for a Ravager to actually take out the force field. I believe the way it works is a bile reduces the duration of a force field by half of the max duration.
Yeah.
So it's like minus 6 seconds or 7 seconds, whatever
6, 7,
it is.
6, 7, yes!
It's whatever many seconds it is for a force field. It reduces that duration. And so Ravagers are still good against them with a bile. Not as strong as they used to be. But this is a crazy push coming out from herO. And the real firepower for this push, it's in the +1 Zealots. They will 2-shot Zerglings. So you kind of need Roaches to deal with this.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an anti-Zergling push here. Double Robo. What a weird tech this has been. Okay, so he's going to come out now. Now, one thing about, you know, moving Zealots and Sentries like this across the map, it moves really slow, so Zerg has a lot of time. And it's not even clear to me that hero's going to commit with this. It almost looks like he bluffed.
Yeah, it's almost like he's trying to bait Rogue into going into Roach Ravager's response to this. And then maybe the double Robo is supposed to churn out Immortals and build up to a later timing attack. That kind of seems like it's going to be the game plan here for herO, but Rogue so far hasn't taken the bait. He's made a couple of safety Roaches, which you must do, but he didn't overcommit to them. Just the handful that you see on screen right there with 6 more in production. And there's a Spire in production.
Yeah, Spire's about halfway done. And we have Immortals coming out 2 at a time. Now, I think this push has to basically hit before the Spire's done. Zerg is banking up. Actually, not banking up that much just yet. We've got a small Ling counterattack here. The Lings are going to see the double Robo. This is one of the funny things. It's like, I guess technically a Void Ray could kill all these Lings if they just stayed there, but yeah. Void Ray, not great in moments like that for taking out lots and lots and lots of little weak units.
Yeah, the Spire's nearly done here for Rogue, but herO has been so aggressively posturing with his army that Rogue hasn't had the time or the space to build up the bank that I think he wanted. And actually, Rogue, it seems like he lost track of hero's army right now because the Roaches are in the center.
Yeah, okay, so he's just going to get an execution here off on these queens and drones. I mean, it's kind of crazy. He actually just kind of out-positioned him totally. The counterattack's going to come in here, and it really can't do anything.
It's a very dangerous position here for Rogue. You know, you're caught out of position. You think that herO went home, but he actually pivoted around to take out this expansion. Support crawler against a recalled Oracle. Gets it to about half HP, but, you know, Rogue, he's reset down to 3 hatches. He's on the 3-base economy. Equal economies here between Protoss and Zerg.
Really clean play from herO. He basically got in there, he got the kill on everything, and then didn't have to trade anything, and just recalls back home. One of the problems with trying to counterattack with Roaches and Lings in the way that this game is looking is that you have 2 Robos that are pumping out Immortals, so the Immortals just counter the Roaches. And as long as you have good, like SimCity, like positioning, you're not gonna have a hard time against Lings.
And really good intuition by herO, by the way. I don't think he actually spotted the Mutalisks, and he didn't even see the Spire until just now, but he already started Phoenix production because he only saw the Roaches and Lings there for Rogue. He intuited that it's likely going to be a Mutalisk follow-up. If he's not seeing Hydras, they're not seeing something else. And so the Phoenix production already starting here, but honestly, the SimCity kind of working against herO in terms of the defense. You see the Stalkers, they have to move all the way around. Blink is not... Oh, did it just finish? It must have just finished, so finally now you're able to get on top of those, but the Muta's getting a little bit more damage than I think they should.
Yeah, Rogue not getting too much done right now. We're still waiting to see if herO's going to try to push out again. It seems like Rogue's been really eager to try to counterattack or try to hit some position, but, you know, herO's been buttoned up pretty tight. But, you know, these two hatches are going to finish the new 4th and the 5th base, and it's probably going to be time to move out then from herO. Now, herO basically already won the first fight and is basically taking a lead since that. Oh, there's going to be another base taken at that Pocket Expo that we were talking about earlier. But, you know, herO, he's 25 supply away from maxing out. It looks like he's actually supply blocked right now. But once those pylons finish, he is going to go out, no doubt.
Yeah, and this is a very effective way to play versus a Mutalisk style, even though Rogue hasn't really been able to commit into Mutas the way that he wanted to. If you just play on 3 bases, you build a little bit of static defense back at home, and then you max out and push really fast like this, the Muta army, a lot of its strength is in its mobility. Its ability to go for counterattacks, its ability to intercept small armies. It's not as good in a head-on engagement. And so herO maxing out like this, it's a real threat to Rogue.
Okay. He takes out another base and kind of just leaves. And we have not seen Rogue really ready to take a fight. Now, maybe that is the right call by him, right? You're always willing, by the way, as Protoss, to just give up Zealots and take out hatcheries. And so I think herO's going to move in again. He's taken out that base. There's actually a lot of ways that herO could try to attack this. He may try to go for that base that he took out earlier. All of the resources that Rogue have spent have built up into this army he's got. And it is a crazy amount of Banelings. So we need to see how the Banelings connect. Force fields are going to be extremely important here.
Yeah, there's no Ravagers with his armies. The force fields can be huge here for herO. They're able to body block a lot of these Banelings out. You can see them finally be able to skirt their way through a small gap in between those force fields. But man, those sentries with their energy giving a lot of space here for herO. The Muta's trying to intercept the reinforcements. herO, he has been producing out of gateways, so the Mutas actually could catch some of these Stalkers as they slowly waltz their way across the map. But that fight was very good for herO.
Yeah, I mean, herO really didn't lose that much. And so there's going to be a huge dump of gas back into Banes again. These Mutas are also not getting a whole lot of value. He's trying to do what he can with them. By the way, I think herO could take another base right now. I'm kind of surprised he's not on one already. I hadn't even noticed that until we saw that fight over there.
He tried taking one in the center. He's now rebuilding it. I think the Mutas actually took this out after they were sniping the reinforcements.
So, I mean, you can see Zerg, their position is just completely lining the bottom of the map. And it's possible herO... Oh, no, never mind. herO's going to push out now. I was going to say he might be waiting for like someone to try to expand again there. But this is a huge army. Were there sentries with that push, by the way? I didn't see them. Okay, yeah, they're in the back.
Yeah, there's only one sentry remaining.
So that's like a Guardian Shield sentry.
Yeah, the
or it could be
Banelings...
one hilarious Force Field sentry. I've seen those too.
You could hallucinate 2 more Stalkers and put them in the front.
Yeah.
Absorb some of the Baneling damage.
I'm really more of a put a Force Field in the middle of the Banelings and watch them go around the Force Field on both sides and kill your army.
Yeah, not much utility for the first sentry. But the sentries, I feel like they already kind of performed their duty in that very initial fight, you know? And they just weren't mobile enough to actually get out of the way of the Banelings. So herO, he's just remaxing up until this point on Stalkers. He is going to be adding in a couple of Disruptors, which is an interesting addition now. And he pushes forward again. These Banelings looking for connections off creep against Stalkers and Immortals. These are units that the Banelings don't have bonus damage against.
Yeah, Banelings are terrible versus Immortals, so if you can have the Banelings connect on that, that's going to be ideal.
Yeah, but there's a lot of Lings and Roaches coming in right now, and with Adrenal about to be done, it's a little bit unlucky for Rogue. This fight is happening before the upgrade is finished, but I think the numbers are just overwhelming enough. You know, as poor as Banelings are against Immortals and Stalkers, Stalkers and Immortals are equally terrible versus Lings. So Rogue actually able to push through right now. This 4th base, herO just established it, but we're actually able to keep it alive.
I mean, I think Rogue's done it, man. He's going to take this base out again. He'll be able to explode on the map. The question is, can he actually keep this going? Because I think if he can get all the way up to where the 3rd base is, then herO's done. herO is like playing a really impressive game, but it seems like Rogue, you know, he took all the beatings he had to take, lost all the hatcheries he had to lose, in order to get the right composition to eventually knock herO's supply down now to 100.
Yeah, herO, I think it's a matter of time now before he gets knocked out of this game. The probes are trying to get pulled right now. herO is trying to remax with some Templar and 2 Colossi, but their robotics facilities are falling here in the natural expansion. herO is overrun, and Rogue takes game 1.
Man, I gotta say, really great closer by Rogue. I mean, the whole game, it kind of looked like herO was doing it, but it was like you just had to get just enough banelings to break that comp. And then all the lings, all the roaches go in there. They take out all the stalkers. Protoss can't remake their army like a Zerg can. Zerg can basically sit on a ton of larvae and do that reset. And so there was no catching up after that.
Yeah, that game was a real tightrope walk for Rogue for a very long time. And honestly, thinking back to those banelings, it makes more sense versus what herO was doing the more that I think about it. Because, Rogue, he had maxed or was very near maxed on lings, roaches, and a small number of mutas. And if he did the typical Zerg thing, where you just try and take a fight with your maxed army and then remax, I think herO wins that game. Because I think the lings and the roaches are not going to trade effectively enough. But if you turn all those lings into banelings the way he did, even if they're not the ideal unit versus what herO had, you're adding a lot more value to your army. It's kind of like you're going supermax, right? Like you're already 200 supply, but you're making your army better by investing more resources into it. I think having that big one-punch army with mass banelings, the lings and roaches, it just gave him just enough firepower to take out that last army from herO, take game number 1, because that was looking so close. I mean, I really thought herO had it after he outpositioned Rogue, took out the 4th hatchery, but Rogue finally clawed it back.
Yeah, we're ready for game 2 now. Rogue, again, with that supreme patience, kind of knowing when it was his time to take the fight and when it was worth just giving up hatcheries, abandoning positions, and it paid off. herO basically wanted to win that with some kind of a push. Now we're going on to a very different map here for game number 2.
Exarch is probably the craziest map that we have at the pool here. 4-player map, and if you look at the base layouts, it is absolutely crazy. You have a couple different decisions in terms of where you want to take your 3rd base with a mineral wall on either side of your natural expansion, but even the layout of the natural expansion is very funky. You have these debris at the front door that kind of close up the choke point a little bit, but if they fall, it becomes wide open. It's a huge ramp there. And once you open up a mineral path to try and safely defend your 3rd base, it also opens up an additional path for the aggressor to try and get into your main base, into your natural expansion. And so the fact that we have herO and a Rogue both spawning on the south side in some of the closer positions on this map, it makes me wonder what aggressive potential there is for herO, because herO's not doing your typical opening. He's not building the pile on the low ground. He's not going for a super fast nexus, at least just yet. He's building a gateway and gas in the main base.
Yeah, this is it's gonna be interesting.
And he's banking a lot of chrono boost energy too. 120 energy on the nexus. I'm not even sure he chrono boosted probes even once.
Yeah, where is he going to take us in this game? This is very cool to see. This probably is something very specific to this map. Oh my god.
A 2nd gateway.
And he's going to send the probe up.
Yeah, he needs to scout where the spawn of Rogue is, because the build for herO seems to be so aggressive.
Yeah.
You got to figure out where to send the units. Time is everything with a build like this one.
So is it just like a Stalker rush?
I'm not sure what it could be. I feel like it's likely going to be 2-gate Adept.
Yeah, I guess Adept, it's probably more common. I'm just wondering, I guess what you have, okay, so it's going to be 1 Adept here. He wants to just maybe try to hit the minerals behind the expansion.
Or maybe even get into the main base. The Zerg economy, even though larvae are produced more quickly, the early game is a little bit more expensive. Hatcheries have a 25 mineral cost.
Yeah. Is it also possible he just wants to hide a pylon somewhere really weird?
He could. I mean, the Warp Gate, if he spends all the chrono boost, we don't know where the chrono boost is going into. I think he's definitely going to chrono boost the 2nd Adept just so that they can be in tandem. They'll finish around the same time. But actually, no. He didn't even chrono boost the 2nd Adept. It's only been on Warp Gate. And each chrono boost reduces the build time by 10 seconds.
Yeah.
So this might be...
gate.
Yeah, there's a 3rd gateway. This is going to be a full-on Adept all-in on 1 base here from herO.
This is like a game you'd walk in and be like, what league is this in?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, he knows he's down here, right? I mean, he scouted the other 2 spots, so he can do so. He just throws a pylon there.
Yeah, Rogue now knows this is a 1-base build, so it's going to be nothing but lings being produced here by Rogue. Might even get a spine crawler at some point once he realizes what is coming.
And 1-base builds like this, usually if they don't work, that you just have to leave. It's too hard to even get a second base up.
Oh yeah, there's going to be no transition.
There's no like, damn, I didn't work. I guess I'll start a Nexus now.
All right, the Warp Gates transform. That's an expensive upgrade here for a herO. Now the Adepts, they're going to be shading in. Spinecrawler starts the natural expansion from Rogue. What is herO going to do? Does he go for the fight versus the slow Lings? Yes, he does.
Ooh, he jukes, and the Lings can't get us around. And this is going to mean that a lot of these Lings are going to be kind of whittled down. He's going to then send the next Adept wave into the main, and he should commit with that, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about snowballing right now. You want to be able to trade with the Lings before Zergling speed is done, because that's going to be the maximal value here for herO. I think with this...
Ling speed is done.
It's finished now. I think with this composition here for herO, you need to snowball the number of Adepts. You need to have a critical mass, but I think Rogue might just have enough. The Lings, they get this around right now. At least 2 Adepts are going to fall. More reinforcing here in the natural expansion.
Okay, so they finished. It's about the same that he started the rush with. But again, Ling speed being done here. Again, you don't care how many Lings you trade out. You just have to get the Adept count low enough, and you are safe. And I feel like Rogue is almost held this.
herO is going for a Nexus right now. I think he's lost faith that this build is going to work. Cancels this shade as well. Rogue just has too much. And this is not a build that you easily transition out of.
I think he could just get flooded by Lings eventually. Like, he's gonna basically, yeah, force a deny there.
I mean, I didn't even think it would be possible to try to go for an expansion behind this.
He might like
herO.
just have the minerals. He might know he's actually like pretty dead, right?
Yeah, I mean, as long as he continues to shade in like this, it does make it quite difficult for Rogue to produce more drones. It's 22 drones to 24 probes right now, but Rogue is really thinking about the counterattack, and he actually is able to sneak out with those Lings. Does herO realize? Does he commit to the shade?
No,
he doesn't.
He thinks he's getting baited, right? So here we go. These Lings are going to come in.
Oh, you need to recall the Adepts. I don't even know if there's energy for a recall right now in the main base. The Shade's going to come in here. The natural expansion. More Adepts are coming in. This actually looks okay for herO.
Yeah, I mean, he does a good job hugging the wall. Wow, okay. That could have been a lot worse. So now the Nexus is going to finish. Rogue is going to start at third base. The tempo of this game is weird.
Yeah, this is just throwing everything I understand about PvZ off right now in terms of tempo and timings. As hero's going to be moving out again. Robotics facility starts here for herO. Rogue is going for a third base, starting to drone. Work account's nearly even.
Okay, so the Wallen's going to get set up.
herO's actually doing it. He's actually being able to transition out of this. I
didn't believe he was going to be able to get away with it. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Okay, so... now what? We're on a two-base Protoss. Again, even getting the base up, it's a very tough game, right? Maybe he wants to go for a Warp Prism and try to do some harass. Maybe he wants to try to push. There is a third base location that's a little bit harder to control than the two bases that Zerg already got.
Robotics facility here for herO is done. It's going to be a Warp Prism to start things out. And I wonder where herO is going to take his tech from here, because it's very difficult to go into Stargate this late. Usually, if you're going to be playing a Stargate style, you need to do it in the early game, and Rogue actually getting in with a Drone Scout again. He did it on Celestial Enclave with the Mineral Wall. This time he did it with the Pneumatic Tubes. Drone flies in here to natural expansion. Sees the Sentries again, too. And with additional gateways coming in for herO, this is looking like almost a Soul Trains type push. Immortals are starting up as well. And Rogue is catching wind of this very early on. It's only 43 drones. I don't think Rogue needs many more workers before he actually just has to go full gas into army, Right. If he just makes roaches and lings, I don't think there's too much aggressive opportunity here for herO.
Yeah, he's not going to get a ton done. This is also a map that's kind of hard to harass anywhere.
Yeah. Because
the minerals are not in positions where you can kind of drop and skirt away. You really have to have your Warp Prism exposed to a decent amount of damage to try to do anything. And we're seeing a lot more Lings get made. So he's already got a decent amount of roaches. He's going to go into those Lings as well. And we're going to get the Ravagers coming up here. And I don't know, is Zerg just going to try to attack out here and push? It feels like they're both setting up for pushes. But if they can't both meet in the middle of the map, right? One of them has to be wrong.
Yeah, I think Rogue is just anticipating the push from herO. If herO decides to try and take a third base, that will probably be the cue for Rogue to go for some aggression. But I fully believe this is a defensive move by Rogue. And yeah, he's adding in 7 more drones. So he's just trying to feel out how much he can get away with economically and how much army he needs to actually deal with the push from here. Because his Overlord is spotted quite a bit but it hasn't seen the full picture, and now Rogue sees the army.
Okay, so he's moving out. It's 2 Immortals, the Warp Prism, a couple Sentries. And it's all going to be about Protoss trying to position in a way where the Zerg can't, completely smother this.
Force Field's going to be able to section off those units there at the top of the ramp. Oh, the Biles are so good, though. Coupled with the surround from the Lings, the Biles get maximum splash damage on that army. I mean, that was already so much damage done. That was a perfect fight there for Rogue. And even though the Force Fields are available for herO, if the Lings get a surround like that on a Clem Protoss army and then the Bile rains down, I mean, herO's just getting overwhelmed.
Yeah, this I think is probably the end here. I mean, the Lynx rounds are just too good. He wasn't able to, take advantage of force fields in any way. And now, when this goes down, there's going to be nothing really to protect him. I guess he does have the 3 Immortals, so never count him out. Immortals and Warp Prisms, I mean, there's nothing really that's better than that in the game. But the Robo's falling. He's going to pull probes. He needs to have something to block here. And again, this all kind of comes down to the risky decision to go for this crazy 1-base move that makes, it so hard to play from Protoss' perspective later on.
Yeah, there's no amount of Warp Prism micro that's going to be able to overcome this deficit, I think. You could put like 3 partings in Archon mode right now and they would not be able to micro these Immortals all the way to safety. I mean, to herO's credit, that was pretty incredible. All those Immortals were like 1 hit away from going down, but Rogue just with overwhelming numbers gonna take game number 2, and it's match point already after a very tricky opening by herO.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of scary. I thought this was gonna be pretty close or herO, favored going into this, but now it's Rogue 2-0 right now. herO has to win 3 games in a row, or he is going to the losers bracket.
Yeah, Rogue just looking so strong there in that game number 2. And herO really coming out with a tricky build, going for the 3 Gateway Adept with Warp Gate.
That was crazy.
Which is expensive, by the way. I mean, you have to spend additional money for all of those Warp Gates now, right? So herO going for this play. And also by Rogue, but it was impressive to me that, like, he was scouting for the main bases also with the Overlord. He didn't do the greedy thing where he just checked for the natural. It's like, okay, there's no Nexus. He didn't spawn here. I'm going to go to the next base. After he checked the natural, he then went to the main base like, I'm going up against herO. Yeah. It could truly be anything.
Yeah, that was a cool move by him. We got a plug, right? Yeah. Okay, so guys, if you're watching on Twitch or X or wherever else we're streaming, do us a favor and go to the YouTube and subscribe. We're trying to grow this. If you're watching on YouTube, obviously subscribe, like the video and everything. We've kind of deemed it, by the way, our viewership on Twitch has been incredible. The live viewership on YouTube has been great, but we're trying to get more people to discover the VODs. Seems like we've locked in a lot of you guys that are on in the time zone that we're in, right? Mm-hmm. But the reality is most of the English-speaking world is not in this time zone, right? And so we're hoping we can find those people. Maybe they come watch us live, or if not, they can keep up with the tournament over there. So, yeah. And the way to do that is to engage with the video. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to continue on with this series of herO versus Rogue. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Let's continue on with this series, herO versus Rogue. Yeah. Can herO actually win a game, or is Rogue going to close us out 3-0?
I want herO to get on the board. I want a game 4. I want a game 5. I want a lot more StarCraft 2 between these two, because this has already been a really epic day. Clem versus Serral. There were some incredible matches between those two. And herO Rogue, it's been delivering in its own way. The games have been pretty crazy, especially that game number 2 where herO went for the 3-gate on 1 base.
Yeah, that was wild.
I want some real battles between these two. They're capable of making such fun games. I want more StarCraft Tasteless. I want herO to bring it back.
It's too bad herO strat didn't work. That's one of those builds, if you do it and it works, you look so awesome, but then if it doesn't work, you look so stupid. All right, guys, we're going to go to Void Storm here for game number 3. herO versus Rogue, continuing on.
Winner of this series going to advance to the upper bracket final versus Serral. Just 2 steps away right now from the grand finals will be taking place for Season 6 at BlizzCon. These players would love to make it, but not there just yet. Here responding down in the bottom right is the red Protoss player Rogue, the blue Zerg in the top left. And herO already has shown some pretty unique, very sentry-focused styles in Game 1 and Game 2. Game number 1, he went for a +1 Zealot push with sentries, which kind of felt like a Wings of Liberty build, honestly. And then in game number 2, the Sentry Immortal follow-up was the transition out of a 1-base 3-gate Adept play. So herO's pivoted very heavily into gateway units in the first 2 games, and it hasn't worked. And I think after that kind of approach flounders in the first 2 games, we can expect a mix-up from herO moving on in the series.
And ROGUE could do something kind of crazy here as well, right?
Yeah.
I mean, most of this is we've had to kind of cast this from a perspective of how is ROGUE going to react to what herO's doing. But yeah, I mean, there's totally room for ROGUE to kind of take the reins, right, and try to get in there and do something crazy for himself.
Already a little bit of a difference for herO in the 1-gate expand play. Game number 1, he went for the gasless expansion into the Nexus, which is a much more macro-focused opening. But here in game number 2, going for the gas first makes me think this might be core into Nexus. Which, if herO does opt to go for that, it has a lot more aggressive potential in the mid-game on the back of Adepts. We'll see what the choice is going to be here for herO.
Yeah. So, you know, in this game, we got to see basically after the Cybernetic score is done what kind of tech is going to be. Probably Stargate, I mean, especially for herO, but maybe there's going to be some kind of twists in there.
Yeah, gate into core, so still a pretty macro-focused opening here for herO. But yeah, that Stargate, I think, is likely going to be the play with a very fast gas. herO can likely throw that down the moment the Cybernetic core is done. He might start a couple of gateway units, potentially even Warp Gate in a little while. And ROGUE is just going for a pretty standard fare opening on his own. Went for the fast hatchery, now working up towards getting Zergling speed. And I think this is a smart approach here for ROGUE. You know, we were talking about how he could do something crazy here in game number 3, but I think the way that herO has approached the first 2 games in this series, it makes sense just to try and to react to what he's doing.
Right.
Because the playstyles that herO's going for, they do seem like they have a lot of potential to get damage done if they're unexpected, but I feel like if ROGUE scouts it, he very likely could formulate the right response and just take a win. You know, they're not particularly solid builds.
Well, ROGUE's always been like herO's always been like a really active player, right? He really wants to try to engage and take control of the game and kind of make the other player play to, you know, what he's doing. So, yeah, you might be right. So we've got the 3rd hatchery coming down here. The Stargate on the way here. We're going to see if it's going to be a Void Ray or an Oracle.
I believe we have an Oracle here in this one.
Yeah, Oracle definitely the more common route. And so he'll probably just go up to 2, and then we're going to see that Oracle harass where he tries to snipe out a couple of drones.
Yeah, going to keep close tabs on that Stargate. herO's gone for some kind of I mean, herO going for wild plays shouldn't come as a surprise to anybody, but he's done some plays where he goes in like 5 or 6 Oracles in PBZs.
Yeah, that's true. You can.
And he like tries to snipe like Spore Crawlers and then Queens and that kind of thing. And herO's really capable of anything.
And you can pair him up with Adepts. You know, suddenly the Lings are no longer anywhere near as scary because if the Lings try to surround, the Oracles can cover the Adepts that way.
First Oracle coming across the map right now. How much damage will he be able to get done with this? I believe there's already 1 Spore Crawler done here for ROGUE. Actually, no, that's the first one. It's about halfway finished, so gotta get pretty close here on the timings, but herO, it seems like he really wants to preserve the HP on this Oracle. He's not being particularly ambitious in terms of trading out the hull, the hit points, for some drone kills. So no damage done just yet.
Yeah. So that 3rd Nexus coming down here. We need to see what the post Stargate tech is going to be. The Evo chamber's coming down here now as well.
3rd Oracle for herO too.
Yeah, so he's still making them.
The fact that herO is very deliberately not trading out the HP on the Oracles makes me think that he might want to make more than 3. This is the first time he's actually sustaining some hull damage on this Oracle. And if he queues up another one here in the production tab, I mean, we don't have a Twilight Council or a Forge just yet.
Yeah, he hasn't made any tech yet because he's still spending gas, getting Oracle after Oracle after Oracle.
Yeah, he might even want to delay it until the Overlord's gone.
That's exactly what I was thinking, is kill that off and then go right back to it. Well,
supply block hides it. strategic supply block.
The mind games are crazy. The first strategic supply block of StarCraft's history.
That's Oracle number 4 in production, so he's doing it.
Yeah. Kind of crazy he even showed that he was producing, though. When the Overlord was there, I thought he would at least wait for it to be gone.
Right.
The Adepts are shading forward. Looks like they cancel that. They don't commit. And he's going to get a second Stargate.
Maybe 4 Oracle into Sky Toss. Maybe Void Rays after this.
Yeah.
We don't have a 5th Oracle, do we? Where are you going with this, herO? 5th Oracle, okay. I mean, once you get Oracles in numbers like this, I think 4 Oracles is the number where I'm a little bit fudgy on the numbers because I don't really play this style, and it's not a very popular style at pro level. I think 4, though, you can dive a Queen and a Spore Crawler if there isn't transfuse energy.
I think it is 4.
And like you'll sustain a lot of HP damage. You might even lose 1 Oracle, but you will kill the Spore. You will kill a Queen. And right now, Rogue doesn't really have much anti-air. I think if the Adepts move across the map with all the Oracles might be in such a number that they can just snipe every single Queen.
Yeah, so is he going to... Yeah, he's going to commit. Oh, the Oracles are kind of far away here. They don't find a target either because the Queens are cold. Okay, this... that was like the worst possible thing that could have happened. He's going to come down here now. Now, he can also target down the Spore. The problem is the amount of time it takes to kill the Spore lets the drones basically go to safety, right? He only killed about 2 there.
I think that needed to happen when the Adepts were shading in. They cannot be 2 different moments in time. They need to hit at the exact same moment. You need to tax Rogue's APM and really make Rogue react perfectly to what you are doing. Because if you give Rogue time like this, he loses the Spore Crawler, loses a couple of drones, that's fine for him. Every time that herO activates all these Oracles, there's so much energy being gone right now. He's going to charge them up, take out these Queens, and there won't be any more anti-air, but I'm not sure the Oracles are going to have enough energy left to actually snipe the Spore Crawlers, to snipe the drones. Yeah, it's just the Queens going down.
I think you're okay trading the Queens out there. You know what I mean? The Oracles have all been drained of their energy. Well, now is going to be a time to counterattack soon here, because he's going to go for Hydras. We know that there is carrier tech that's going to come in here. He's got the Fleet Beacon coming, but I think you can probably kill him with Hydraling Bane before Protoss can do anything. So he's going to have this nice kind of in-between move to come hit him here.
And herO has to be so careful with the Oracles at this stage. You cannot continually activate all the beams. He needs to be very deliberate about which Oracles he activates and how many he activates to actually deal with the pressure coming in. Oh man, Rogue rolling in with these Banelings. The Lings solo on, or the Probes, excuse me, solo on HP. herO was prompt with the pull of the Probes there, but Rogue coming in with a Lings, able to just one-tap all of those low hit point workers. And Tempests are going to start up.
So yeah, so the Tempests are going to come out, but they don't make that fast. Zerg's probably going to be able to hit this 3rd before the Tempest can really kick in. Tempests also just don't kill things quickly. Like they can be great for like pushing, you know what I mean? Because you can kind of hit from afar, but they're not always great, especially in situations like this for defending, right?
Yeah.
Like it's going to be staying back, and by then the Nexus is going to be killed.
They're good versus Hydras and low numbers of Hydras, especially when you have something like a Mothership for Time Warp to buy some space where they can just continually deal out that chip damage. But it's these Oracles I'm worried about. I think only one of them activating right now, and that's important for herO because he's going to need all of that energy to actually deal with this push. It's going to be close, even if he charges up all of these Oracles, and he does. Every single Oracle activates the beam, so herO needs to go for the fight right now. I don't think you can activate these Oracles and not engage. Oh, man.
It's getting low. Maybe he does have enough. I don't know. More Hydras are going to come down here. Again, the Lings, they can just take this Nexus out. There's a couple Zealots coming in here. Okay, maybe he survives. Now, he did kill 16 probes, so it's not like this is necessarily a victory here for herO.
herO just wanted a couple more units there on the ground before he engages. But the Oracles, the energy is such a crucial resource right now. They are fully depleted. Rogue sitting on 67 drones, working up to the 70s now versus just the 47 probes here from herO. And so if Rogue just takes a beat and macros up a near maxed army, I'm not sure that herO will be able to defend it.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. I think that analysis is spot on. He probably just won't physically be able to stop the next push. It's funny, we get to kind of think about Oracles in a different way in a game like this, right? Like a lot of times you just sort of look at them and you go, all right, well they're gonna kill drones until they run out of energy, and then they'll lay traps or tag stuff or whatever. But yeah, when you think of that Oracle energy as a defense resource, it's a very, very different story, right?
I mean, 25 energy just to activate the beam, and against a player like Rogue, who is typically so active, moving in, trying to cause fights, trying to cause skirmishes. you have a situation like this one where herO, even with these revelations, like the revelations even feel a little bit expensive, although I suppose the oracles aren't in such a high number right now.
And he's going to go for corruptors too, and that may be the trump card here. You know, once he has enough corruptors, he can probably just wipe out the air, right? It's no longer about can the air units, you know, is there enough to damage coming out to defend everything?
Yeah, and herO is only just now getting up to full 3-base saturation. He's about to go to 66 workers in just a moment, or maybe just sit at 63 since the main base is starting to mine out. And I think he's kind of just got a camp with static defense. I'm not sure if there's a Templar Archives out just yet. Oh, there is. Yeah, Archons are much needed here to try and add some splash damage and keep those Corruptors away from the Tempest. And Void Rays also. I mean, you need that splash, or not splash damage, excuse me, you need the anti-armor damage of the Void Rays to try and stand a chance. But again, I look at the game, and the problem for me is that you see the minimap, Rogue, the creep spread is phenomenal. He just took a 5th base. More drones are being created. He's going to go to 80-plus workers. The pressure is fully on herO just to survive.
Yeah, this is, you know, the game quieted down quite a bit, but we know that Rogue is... This attack is inbound, right? We're seeing all these Banes get made here. Not a lot really on the ground to fight the Banes. herO is going to take a 4th base, but the real thing we got to focus on is going to be this attack. And can herO stay in this? He's going to be defending for a long time, by the way. Sky Toss probably takes longer to really kick in than almost anything in the game, right? So, yeah, I mean, let's see if he can survive this next huge attack here from Rogue, who is now maxed out.
Yeah, 4 Overseers here for Rogue, so should have the detection for the Mothership Cloak as well. And now Rogue coming in from a huge angle there on the left side. The Corruptors instantly snipe the Mothership. I'm not even sure if a Time Warp is able to be dropped right there by herO. Force Field is going to zone out much of the ground army here for Rogue, but the Corruptors just absolutely destroying the Sky Toss fleet. herO takes his hand off the keyboard.
Oh, man.
Nice big stretch. And that's going to be this series GG.
Just stretching out his GG hand. Didn't want to get a cramp.
Don't
hurt that GG finger.
That was brutal, man.
Yeah, that was... I thought that was going to be a lot closer.
I did too, but honestly, the openings that herO went for, they felt pretty flimsy, especially there in game number 2 and game number 3. I mean, he has pulled out this kind of Oracle tech a couple of times in tournaments recently. It's why it didn't come as too much as a surprise, I think, even to Rogue.
Yeah.
And this is the kind of thing where I feel like if you do it once in a blue moon, you're going to find a lot of success, but if you start dipping back into it, like, Rogue seemed very comfortable approaching that game 3.
Yeah. Yeah. herO with maybe the most, this is saying a lot, by the way, the most alternative play I've ever seen from him.
Yeah,
right?
was,
those were weird games. We had 3-gate, 1-base Adepts in game 2, and we had 2 Stargate Oracle. Crazy. So, guys, August 8th, next weekend, we are going to have Serral versus Rogue, herO versus Shin, and Clem versus Solar. And that's all going to be on August 8th. And then, of course, August 9th, we will have, you know, the rest of the losers bracket play out. We will also, on August 8th, know if it's Serral or Rogue going to BlizzCon.
Yeah, that's going to be awesome, no matter who it is. If you take a look at the Season 6 schedule for the online portion of this tournament, yeah, that Saturday, 3 series deciding the first finalist at BlizzCon. And then on Sunday, we will determine the second finalist after playing the Luro bracket semifinal and final. And it's going to be awesome. I cannot wait for StarCraft 2 to be back at the big stage at BlizzCon.
Yeah.
Casted by Tasteless and Artosis. You guys are the best. It's going to be so much fun.
We're so excited, man. Artie is super pumped. I was talking to him on the phone just 2 days ago. And yeah, that's going to be fun. It's going to be cool to have BlizzCon back as well.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
Blizzard, it felt weird when there wasn't a BlizzCon. It was kind of one of the... you know, outside of obviously their amazing games, just, you know, the fact that they had their own con, right, where everybody got to go together and meet. Guys, we've been starting early, and it's going to always be at this time from here on out. So, yeah, feel free to join us, watch live, and if you can't, we got it on the YouTubes.
Yeah, it's on YouTube. You can check out the VODs right there. At Revive SC2. Ooh, production right on point there.
Yeah,
with
it's
transition
like, oh my
into
God,
YouTube.
it's like we're dancing right now. It's like perfect, like synchronized swimming.
Well done,
we
Ziggy.
talk about it, and then they go to the next slide right on time. Yeah. Oh, yeah, Archon Studio. Guys, we love these guys. They've been supporting us, and we're just so grateful. Without them, we would not be able to be... I mean, their help has been tremendous, right?
Yeah, we would not be able to have RSL the
we
scale
would be dead. We would be in the dirt.
No, but for real, I mean, Archon Studio, they've been with RSL from the very beginning. And what they're making, too, I mean, not just their support, which we love them for, but what they're making, the StarCraft tabletop miniature game, it looks awesome. I've seen YouTube videos about, like, build orders because this is an actual game you can play.
Right.
It's cool as a collector's item. It's cool if you're a tabletop gamer. I mean, it's just excellent. So check them out. We'd really appreciate it.
And if you guys haven't already, consider supporting us on Patreon. That's patreon.com/revive SC2. And the more you're willing to support us, the more engagement you get to have with the show, including voting on maps and players, all that stuff.
Yeah, also get a 20% discount on tastelessthreads.com. It is such a steal.
We're going shopping. Get the Patreon code out.
It's hot now in summer. You might need some new T-shirts, you know? I guess Tasteless shirt right there.
And here's the thing. It's not going to be hot forever. Eventually, it's going to be wintertime. It's going to be cold, and you need your hoodie that you can wear inside the house.
Well, good news. Tasteless Threads. It's got it all.
Everything but pants. We don't have pants on there, but we've got everything. And no underwear. And no socks. Actually,
we gotta flesh this thing out, man. We gotta fully gear up this merch.
Guys, thank you so much for joining us. We are going to go ahead and end the show, and we will see you guys next weekend where we decide who the 2 finalists for BlizzCon are going to be. We love you. Bye-bye.